legislation that gives us the NHI. The question is not whether or not that legislation should have been tabled or promulgated. The question is, was there enough of a public participation process? It's a very consequential case because it will have implications for other legislation or other processes where the public are required to participate, but in fact are not included, should that be the ruling. That's the first interview.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Our big interview is with somebody else who has played his role in trying to clean up this society. Formerly, of course, the chairperson of the Competition Commission. He's now the new chair of the National Lotteries Commission. And I suppose in an environment in which funding, particularly for social welfare organizations, remains challenged, does the lottery money go to where it needs to help charities that are working with the elderly, with the disabled, with young school kids, charities that are trying to do their bits to plug in the gaps where government necessarily can't? For years, we know the National Lotteries Commission was really a feeding trough for greedy pigs who looted it for their personal gain. The outgoing chair, Professor Bongani Bingwa, has spoken to us many a time about the work that was being done. And I suppose the real question now is, quite apart from fixing the National Lotteries Commission, what comes next to make sure that the lottery money South Africans spend goes towards helping those who need it most? And then just before 9 o'clock, a fascinating concept. We all understand, of course, that our law, our jurisprudence is based on Roman Dutch law with a mixture of English law due to being colonized by the Dutch and the British. I think since the democratic dispensation, there have been efforts to try and integrate some aspects, if not in the letter, certainly in the spirit of African thinking values like Ubuntu, for example. But what would it have looked like had we retained African law as our primary source or value or paradigm when it comes to jurisprudence? This is what this play explores. Africa versus the state, reclaiming African law in a colonial courtroom. We're going to be speaking to an actor in the lead role of Advocate Gwantu. This is Siaya Kuas just before 9 o'clock. I think it should make for a cerebral but fascinating conversation.
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
702 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m.
But I'm not alone, of course. As always, I'm with a team of colleagues behind the scenes, putting the show together. Producers, Rofiwa and Siamtanda behind the scenes today. We've got Karabo for social media, KG starting the clock, our technical producer. Sfisa Zulu has everything you need to know in Eyewitness News. We'll hear from Cindy Paluta about the latest in sport. And in the studio right now with me are Muteo Hwaripe and Amo Ramila. A very good morning to you.
Morning, Bongs.
Morning, Bongani.
I want to know from you, did you watch this moment?
Appearances. Why not them? Why not Belgium? Belgian celebrations fill the Seattle air.
Belgium celebrations filling the Seattle air. The US of A out of the FIFA 2026 World Cup. In fact, all the hosts are now out. Mexico is out, Canada is out, and the US of A is out. Did you watch the game? Did you have any interest in watching the game, or were you rolling your eyes?
I really had an interest because of the politics happening off the field with the red card and Infantino and the US government also giving him that call. But I knew that Belgium was going to do the job there. I really did. It went without saying.
I mean, have you ever had a situation? I mean, most people, I accept, most of us don't live in soapies, right? That's why soapies are so hard to relate to, because we don't have people constantly plotting against us and seeking to undermine us. But have you been in a situation where you felt somebody was working actively against you and it motivated you to do just about the most? Because I think the Belgians were like, okay, bring it on. Amo?
And I mean, I'm happy for them, but I didn't watch the game. I watched the Spain against Portugal match. But
Yes.
most of the time, it's the underdog that performs better than the people that are expected to do, well, especially in a match like this one. But I think US can now focus on hosting rather than play.
Now, if you've been off the planet for the last 24 hours, it all started with, and this is part of our shout out this morning. I'm not going to keep you in suspense as to why we're asking the question. And it's a very simple one. What's that thing you know but don't want to know? Right? What's that thing you know but don't want to know? It could be in your social circles. It could be relationships at work, amongst your friends, even in the family. Everybody knows it is this, but nobody wants to talk about it. People perhaps aren't comfortable with it. Maybe they don't even like it, but it is what it is. And it's just, we all keep it moving. What's that thing you know, but you don't want to know? It all comes, of course, in the wake of, quite frankly, I would say, FIFA, the world governing body for football, caved in to the wishes of one man, the US President, Donald J. Trump.
So I saw the play, and I'm a person that loves sports and was a good athlete, and I understand sports really well, really well. And that wasn't a foul. That wasn't even an infraction. That was two guys running full speed that happened to crash into each other. You can't take your foot and properly place it on somebody else's foot when you're going, no, these were two great athletes that got tangled up, and this referee, who is a little bit suspect, if you check his past, I don't want to say that because I don't like to create controversy, but very suspect. If you'd like, I'll provide you with the past. He made a call that nobody could believe. Even people on the other side, they say, "Oh, we got lucky. Wow, and it's very interesting. They say they don't show them in slow motion, and I never realized that. I never heard of that before."
Donald Trump weighing in, of course, on a red card that had been given to the American player, Folarin Balogun. Folarin Balogun. I don't even know how to say it because, he has the most British accent, very clearly West African in origin, but he's playing for the United States of America. He got a red card, and if you look at the game, it does look suspect. Donald Trump isn't necessarily wrong, but he was given that red card nonetheless. Except Donald Trump didn't like the fact that this player got the red card and didn't want to leave matters only on the field.
He didn't do anything wrong, and he's our best player or one of our best players. And he gave him a red card. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't think it meant much. Then I started hearing that means he can't play in the next game, at least in the next game. I said, boy, that's a big, if it happened to another player, it would have been unfair. But when they take your best player, or just about, they have some great players, and they say you can't play, that's very unfair. It's one thing to penalize somebody for the game, but how do you penalize them for a game that hasn't been played yet? It's very unfair. You can't do that. So, yes, I asked for a review by FIFA. I spoke to a man who's highly respected, and by the way, whose level of respect has gone up tenfold. And he was good before this started, but he really pushed it in this country. I'm the one that got them to do it. It was not Biden. Biden was asleep. I got him to do it. In fact, it was very sad because I got him to do it.
So he made the call, and he said change the decision, and this player's suspension was put on probation for a year, which meant he could play. In the end, of course, as you heard from that first clip, the Belgians trounced the Americans. It was a smackdown. 4-1 was the result. And that's really what we want to talk about this morning. What is that thing that you know, but you don't want to know? Because I think it'd be easy to make this about Donald Trump. And to some degree it is. But it's not really about Donald Trump, is it? This is about FIFA, the world governing body for football. The previous president, one Sepp Blatter, tweeted yesterday about how wrong this was. I mean, he wasn't direct, but the implication was clear. Now, if Sepp Blatter has to be the one to tell you something is wrong, what does that say about FIFA? And it's not necessarily even an Infantino problem, because we all know Sepp Blatter, his career ended in a bit of a cloud, did it not? And his crowned successor, Michel Platini, the French player, didn't quite make it to the position now held by Infantino for similar reasons. And this man caving in to the wishes of Donald Trump tells you everything we need to know. We've always known FIFA was a dodgy organization, but who wants to say it? We love the beautiful game. We want to focus on the play. Remember when I spoke to Professor McNamee at the start of the tournament? And he said, look, there's always noise around World Cups. When it was in Qatar, there were protests. When it was in Russia, there were protests. Now, of course, in the US, there are going to be, howls of concern. But wait until the football begins. And that's what we'll eventually focus on. And of course, he was absolutely right. And isn't that what we do? We focus on the game, forgetting everything behind the scenes, because we love the beautiful game. So we know, but we don't want to know.
Hey, America, ne? I think they deserve it. Let's see Trump reverse this one. Let's see him reverse this one. Well done to Belgium. Well done. Good punishment to bad deeds. Number 1, 7.
Let's walk the talk.
7:02.
It's 20 after 6. Mateo, you've got a question of your own?
Yeah, a bit of a tricky one this morning. Do you intervene in your friends' financial matters if you see them being reckless with money? Or if they're borrowing around the group too much and you feel like maybe we should intervene? Or do you just mind your business?
Typically just mind your own business. I mean, there'd have to be very specific circumstances. Say if somebody, for example, has lost their job, and even if they haven't asked for help, you might consider that, hey, hang on, how are you making ends meet?
Yeah.
You've still got bills to pay. How are you doing? Are you okay? Did you have savings? Did you have a cushion? Is there something we can help, even if it's a little bit? It might be, if the kid is in matric, let's see what we can do about that. So, yes, of course, you can't take over the entire life,
Sure.
but there are little bits and pieces, perhaps, where you could come together as a group of friends to assist. In that scenario, perhaps. But nje, just,
Do you ask your friend why they're selling their valuables?
I asked them why they're not selling their valuables to be able to keep up with certain things in life, and unfortunately for me, they block me. So
So you've done this.
I've done this before, and it wasn't
It's
a
a
good
tricky thing to
response.
do, though.
But also, you need that friend who's going to be very honest and frank with you. We can't just dilly-dally around you and pretend everything is okay when things are not okay, right? When you get hospitalized and we ask you what's the problem, and we can see that it's your finances that are the problem, and we try to sort of like not even help, but try to get people who can help you to sort out your life.
and you don't want to listen.
And you don't
So it
care.
can backfire.
It can.
All
Tell
right,
you
so if
why
your
I
friend
must-
is living a champagne lifestyle on a beer budget, Amo will tell you all about it.
7:02.
Weather.
What conditions can we expect on this Tuesday? A fine day in store for Gauteng. Temperatures just a little warmer now. The max for Joburg and Pretoria, 21 degrees. That's the same for Cape Town. Vereeniging will max out at 20 degrees. Bombela, 19. Mahikeng, 23. Bloemfontein, 22. Durban is really lovely. It's going to be fine there, maxing at 26 degrees. Gqeberha, 20. East London, 23. And Kimberley, 24.
EWN Traffic.
A first look at the roads. Amma, what are you seeing on your fancy maps?
Well, Bongani, we've got roadworks taking place on the N3 North right as you approach the Kiluli's interchange, and they're causing delays. There's also queuing traffic along the Mike 1 North. This is between Boyson's Road and Carr Street. That's due to peak time delays there while traveling out of Eldorado Park. Do expect delays on the Golden Highway approaching East Street, also due to roadworks there. Please be on the lookout. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Clement Manyatala Show will be hosting the Unemployment Hour this Wednesday, the 8th of July from 10 a.m. And it really allows job seekers a platform to market themselves to potential employers. So if you are an employer looking for talent, well, send an email to cm@702.co.za with your required skills, and Clement's team will try to match you with potential candidates. Similarly, if you're unemployed, call into the show and give yourself an opportunity to market your skills. The Unemployment Hour, connecting you to opportunities, only on 702. Let's walk the talk.
702.
Add your voice.
Have your say.
Let's walk the
Good
talk.
morning, Bongani. Yeah, Motewa amu. Yeah. Ningasheshi nihleke, guys. What Trump did ngala red card, he might do ngale defeat. I won't be surprised makuthiwa i-USA kusasa yakuma quarter final. Yeah. Ubaba Trump ibhuli yethu. Angasigila futhi. Danko.
Start your day with Bongani Bingwa.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
What do you know that you don't want to know? And there are so many examples we can think of in life, in our circle of friends, family, and even in our workplaces. Now, what you ought to know, certainly, is that the president has appointed the former minister, Ayanda Dlodlo, as South Africa's new ambassador designate to France. She'll now replace the late Natim Tetwa. Dlodlo, a former minister of state security and most recently an executive director at the World Bank, will take up the diplomatic post ahead of President Ramaphosa's working visit to France this week. And her appointment fills a key diplomatic vacancy and comes as South Africa seeks to strengthen political and economic ties with France, including, of course, talks between Ramaphosa and his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron. So, as I said to you earlier, all three of the 2026 FIFA World Cup co-hosts, the US, Canada, and Mexico, have now been eliminated from the tournament. And it makes it the first time in World Cup history that every host nation has failed to reach the quarter-finals. We certainly saw that when we were hosting the FIFA World Cup all those years ago. Now, here's an interesting one. Adam Gilchrist has a really interesting story. Have you ever got yourself into trouble because of something you said? And are there conversations that you actually should walk away from because they're not appropriate? What do you do when you're asked a question, and you're trapped in a conversation that maybe upon reflection you should not have been a part of to begin with? So the Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, has had to apologize for making inappropriate comments about the pop star Kylie Minogue during a podcast game. His remarks drew widespread criticism, with politicians saying they were disrespectful to women and undermined the office of the Prime Minister. Anthony Albanese appeared on a podcast called The Bush Deep with a comedian, Nicky Osborne, and he was asked to play a particular game. Listen to the question and the poor Prime Minister's answer.
Now, every guest gets asked these. Shag, marry, date. Kylie Minogue, Nicole Kidman, or Rhonda Birchmore?
I've just got married. I'm only 6 months in.
Let's just pretend.
Oh, Kylie, clearly.
You'd marry Kylie and shag her and date her?
All of the above.
All right, it's a triple.
She's terrific.
All right, that's fair.
That's what he got into trouble for. And you just wonder, why would a Prime Minister be answering that kind of question? Today is World Chocolate Day. It celebrates the year 1550, when Europeans first discovered chocolate. Before that, of course, the Mayans and the Aztecs drank cocoa as a bitter ceremonial drink, and cocoa beans were even used as currency. But it wasn't until sugar and milk were added in Europe that chocolate became the sweet treat we know it to be today. And finally, Prince, the artist formerly known as the Purple One, beginning a 5-week reign at #1 on the US singles charts in 1984 on this day, when Doves Cry was his first US chart topper.
The heat between me and you just leave me standing alone in a world that's so cold.
702.
the newspapers.
Svisa Zulu, what are you paying attention to in the newspapers this morning? You always focus on international news, hey?
That's true, Bongani. This time around, we are in Cuba, where once again it has been plunged into a nationwide blackout after its national electricity grid collapsed. The government blames the ongoing energy crisis on U.S. restrictions that have disrupted fuel supplies, while Washington says the pressure is aimed at pushing political and economic reforms. This is the latest in a series of nationwide power failures in Cuba that have disrupted things like schools, transport, and healthcare, and basically everyday life.
Gosh, when and where will it end? The Business Day has a picture, of course, of the former minister, Ayanda Dlodlo, being appointed to France, the story we just told you about a moment or so ago. And the Sowetan focuses on the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry text revealing Major General Feroz Khan and his tender dealings. And the Citizen is concerned about Zimbabwean kids in particular enrolled in school in South Africa who now have to return to their home country where there are no subjects like maths literacy or life orientation. And how on earth are they to adjust?
EWN Business.
Hotel wants to know, do you intervene in friends' financial matters? Simply mind your own business. Or if they are reckless spenders, beer budgets but champagne lifestyles, do you dare speak up? What prompts the question?
Bongani, Moody's Investors Service has warned South32 that it could face a credit rating downgrade following its planned $5 billion sale of its aluminium and alumina businesses to U.S. company Alcoa. Now, last week, the Pittsburgh-based Alcoa reached an agreement to acquire the majority of South32's global aluminium portfolio in a mega deal valued at up to $5.6 billion or 92 billion rand. Now, this transforms Alcoa into a top-tier integrated producer while allowing South32 to pivot its focus towards copper and base metals. Now, although the deal sounds good, Moody's says the sale will significantly reduce the size of the Australian miner and make it less diversified. The ratings agency is worried that South32 is letting go of revenue drivers, and this may hurt its bottom line in future. The warning interrupted recent rallies for South32's share price, with the stock falling nearly 4% on Australia's ASX 200. Aluminium and alumina have been major contributors to the company's earnings over the past several years, meaning the transaction could weaken its financial position in future. Now, on the other hand, South32 believes the sale will allow it to focus on metals like copper, expected to see stronger long-term demand. Basically, South32 saying, we know what we're doing. We should be fine. It looks risky, but we'll be okay.
To be a fly on the wall of their next board meeting, hey? Mattel? Oh, where's the rand?
16 Rand 23 against the US dollar, weaker this morning. 18 Rand 56 against the euro, and 21 Rand 73 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,134 an ounce, while platinum is down 1% at $1,618. Brent crude at $72 a barrel. More business after 7.
Up next, we're going to speak to the human rights and health activist Mark Hayward. Will NHI fly with the Constitutional Court? In the meantime, the president quite happy about at least one thing in the country. Svisa Zulu?
That's right, Bongani, and that is the Madlanga Commission, and he says he would consider extending its deadline. The commission is expected to submit its final report at the end of August. Under the current deadline, commissioners and evidence leaders have said they would need to stop holding hearings by the end of this month in order to have enough time to prepare the final report. But the commission continues to face issues of some witnesses conveniently falling ill before they have to testify. Speaking during an ANC event in the Eastern Cape yesterday, Ramaphosa said the commission has done great work in uncovering corruption within the crime prevention sector.
I am very pleased with the work that is being done with the Madlanga Commission. It may well be that they need a little bit more time, and I'll listen to that request if it comes.
After years of resource constraints, Home Affairs says immigration enforcement is getting a much-needed boost. The department says the recruitment of 301 additional immigration officers will increase its enforcement capacity from 868 to more than 1,000 officers across the country. Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber says this is part of government's efforts to strengthen immigration enforcement, improve border security, and uphold the rule of law.
For too long, just 868 frontline immigration officers have been responsible for enforcing our immigration laws across the entire country. By appointing 301 additional officers, we are now making one of the biggest investments in immigration enforcement capacity in years, strengthening our ability to uphold the rule of law and protect the integrity of South Africa's immigration system.
Taking a look at newsmaking international headlines, thunderstorms and strong winds have killed at least 10 people and injured 275 in China. State broadcaster CCTV says multiple areas in central China experienced severe weather yesterday. Tornadoes were reported in some areas and one person is missing. Authorities have also evacuated tens of thousands of residents to safe areas. Scientists warn the intensity and frequency of global extreme weather events will increase as the planet continues to heat up because of fossil fuel emissions. In the Middle East, an unknown projectile has struck an oil tanker near the Strait of Hormuz. The incident occurred near one of the world's most important energy shipping routes despite a ceasefire between the United States and Iran amid ongoing efforts to secure a lasting peace agreement. Maritime traffic resumed after Washington and Tehran signed a memorandum of understanding last month aimed at ending the conflict and reopening the strategic route. However, Iran has insisted there will be no return to pre-war arrangements under which vessels could pass freely through the strait. Tehran has warned ships against using routes outside a corridor it has authorized along its coastline. A fine day in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures are at lows of 1 and 6 degrees, peaking at highs between 20 and 21.
And in the traffic, we've got peak time delays on the Markwan North. This is between Boysons Road and Carr Street. Please be on the lookout there while traveling on the M2 West, queuing traffic as well towards the Crown interchange. Then in Germiston, queuing traffic on the N3 North between the Elands interchange and the Gilulis interchange due to roadworks.
The top story this hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa says he's pleased with the work of the Madlanga Commission and would consider extending its deadline.
What is your business here?
You didn't start your business to play it safe. You took the leap, made the bold move, and now it's time to make the next one. This week, 702 and Budget Business Insurance are giving small businesses the chance to win their share of 100,000 Rand with the Budget BizBucks Bonanza. Enter on primemediaplus.com. Tell us about the boldest move you've ever made in your business and what your next one will be. Then get an obligation-free Budget Business Insurance quote. 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa could call you. Budget Insurance is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's apply.
Hi, this is Alia Itzebet, Hollywood Bet's brand ambassador. A reminder that you can still shoot for the stars while playing responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling toll-free counselling line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bet supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
Yes! It's Decofern's birthday sale. So, with 15 to 40% off and more, then technically, this $12.99 Josie dining chair is $17.19 for free. Free!
Honey, that's not how maths works.
It's birthday maths. Celebrate our birthday in-store or at decofurnsa.co.za with 15 to 40% and more off absolutely everything. Decofern birthday maths. Don't question it, just save. T's and C's apply.
Coming up in the next hour, what's the question? Brought to you by Outsurance. 3,000 Rand in cash is up for grabs. So you send us an answer based on something you heard on the show that piqued your interest. For that, you win 1,000 Rand. Simply WhatsApp us your name and the answer to 072 702 1702. Then later, someone else will ask a question to win 2,000 Rand, and that's how they'll get to your answer, you see. Now, you always stand a better chance of being selected if you've been able to SMS Outsurance and received a quote. What are you waiting for? SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance.
702
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Infantino must be given a red card, Bongani. He must be booted. Imagine if Ramaphosa could have said, South African game and Canada must be replayed because the referee was biased. Yeah? What is that? No, this guy must be given a red card, really. No, he must not allow politics into sport. Thank you very much. Taru Deep Proof.
Bongani, this is proven that 2026 is the horrible World Cup ever. Unlike Wayne Rooney, who said 2010 was the worst World Cup. I think 2026 was the horrible World Cup ever. And the way I so wished, I don't mind Canada, I don't mind Mexico, but I so wished USA never made it out of group stages. That's how bad I wished for them to be knocked out.
Good morning, Bongs and the team, 702 Land. Bongs, on the first clip that you played, Donald J. Trump says that he understands the game very well, incredibly well. And then on the second clip, he goes on to say that, yes, the player was awarded a red card, but when it comes to red cards, he doesn't understand it quite well. I don't know. Educate me on this one about Donald J. Trump. Anyway, well done to USA for thrashing.
Hey, yeah, Bongani, as much as Donald Trump is crazy, here's the thing, though. You can't question his patriotism. You can't question who he stands for and who he represents. Even in worst cases like, hey, in soccer, you don't get involved. No. I will get involved. It's my country, it's my player, it's my people. So he is hands-on in everything that happened in his country for the benefit of his country, not so much about other presidents.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. Yeah, I think Donald Trump is going to ask FIFA if the game can be replayed between Belgium and the US of A.
Yeah, I mean, Belgium made sure he couldn't say it was rigged because, whenever he loses, he's actually said this. He's actually said it. That when he loses, his go-to explanation, it must have been rigged. And for people who think it's all about patriotism, yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say to that, is there?
EWN Sport.
Cindy Paluta, no guesses as to what we might be talking about? Scratch your head.
Yes, let's start with the Tour de France. No. So Portugal are out of the World Cup. They were one of the hot favourites to go out. I think a lot of people more upset about it being Ronaldo's last World Cup. So they lost 1-0 to Spain in what many would say a bit of a boring match. It was dull. It had its chances. There were lots of great shots on target, etc. The defending from both teams was really, really good. But the majority of people, obviously, these big games when two big sides face each other, it never quite.
It doesn't always, yeah.
It either blows it out the water or doesn't quite live up to the hype, right? And Spain winning 1-0 in the end because Miguel Marino came off the bench and he scored in the 91st minute.
Those are always crashing.
It's always crashing.
Late goals, yeah.
Portugal defender Nelson Semedo says it's unfair to say that the team failed.
Man, I don't think there's a fair question. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people, not only you have their question, but I mean, we didn't fail. We lost against a great team. It's not like a failure. You understand? We did the best. We did the best we could today. It was not our day today. We played against a great team. Well, we conceded a goal at the end of the game.
As we said, the game was Cristiano Ronaldo's last World Cup match for Portugal. Spain will now play Belgium in the quarterfinals. Belgium thrashed the USA 4-1. Charles de Ketelaere scoring twice before halftime, with Van Eycken and Lukaku adding the final touches. The Springboks won't have Eben Etzebeth for the remainder of the month. He's still recovering from concussion. Oxen Chair injured his knee and is out until mid-August. Same for Sasha Feinberg and Gomezulu and Morne van den Berg. Coach Rassie Erasmus retained only 5 players from the win over England for Saturday's game with Scotland. They are Jesse Creel, Damian Willemse, Peter Steph du Toit, Paul de Villiers and Ruan Nokia. Here's Coach Erasmus.
Our average for our caps, which is not a lot, there's 11, 12 guys that got less than 10 caps in it. I think we will definitely go into this match with a much less experienced team compared to Scotland. So this will be a nice test for a lot of these guys to see when we get to the important part in the next year or two. And we think most of them, we won't have them here if we don't think they can do the job for us.
In cricket, Proteas women's all-rounder Marizanne Cup was the only South African named in the T20 World Cup team of the tournament. Cup took 8 wickets in the tournament, scored 124 runs. At Wimbledon, the men's fifth seed Domino lost in straight sets to French Open runner-up Flavio Cobolli. Cobolli will play Ferry, who beat Dimitrov in 5 sets. Fritz is also through to the quarterfinals. He beat Bublik and waits to see if he plays Ferry Voleheka. Their game was suspended due to Wimbledon's very strict 11 p.m. curfew. On the women's side, Kostiak beat Kruger and will play Paulini in the quarterfinals. Nasco beat Keys and will play Mertens. And at the Tour de France, speaking of which, defending champions Dash Pogacar won stage 3 and takes the overall lead in yellow jersey from the stage winner's bonus point. That took him level on time with Jonas Vingegaard, who had the yellow jersey since Saturday's opening stage. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
Sporting Bet's Millionaires Cup is live, and your shot at up to 10 million rand is on the line. A pass, a tackle, a strike. Moments make the game. This one could make you. Take on a series of thrilling missions and climb your way to millionaire status with every stage of the tournament. Bet now at sportingbet.co.za. Could you be our next millionaire? Sporting Bet. Betting amplified. T's and C's apply. Sporting Bet is licensed by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No under 18s may gamble. WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710 or contact the SARGF toll-free counseling line on 0800 006 008. Winners know when to stop.
Sure, they aced it. The Championship's Wimbledon experience with the Mzansi Advantage is back at Amex Tennis Town Monte Casino between 11 and 12 July 2026. Enjoy VIP hospitality, the ultimate big screen experience, a kids fun zone, and so much more. Buy your tickets now on Howler and get 50% off on limited tickets when you use your Amex card. Tennis is better with Amex. American Express Cards is operated under license in South Africa by Nedbank, a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz.
On 702.
Hello, Uncle Bongani. My name is Reti Modimo, and I'm 13 years old, and I go to Hyde Park High School. And when I grow up, I want to be a businessman, and I'm so excited to play the Whiz Quiz today.
702.
Coming up at 7:15, the big interview.
EWN Traffic.
14 to 7, the CWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask them for 500 Rand. What's happening on the N3 North? Amo?
Bongani, we've got roadworks taking place between the Yelans interchange and the Kilulis interchange, about a 20-minute hold up there. There's also queuing traffic on the N12 and the R24 West. Peak time delays here between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange while traveling. On the R21 South, we've got an accident reported right near Pomona Road. It's causing delays coming out of the R23. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. We'll have more updates coming up.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clever excuses for being late, number 95. I had load shedding and couldn't charge my phone, so I didn't have an alarm. Fortunately, with the Outsurance pointsman on the roads, you no longer have to come up with creative excuses for being late. The Outsurance pointsmen have been easing traffic congestion so we all get to where we need to be quickly and safely for the past 20 years. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In partnership with 702, Outsurance is a licensed insurer in FSP.
The CSIR International Convention Center has over 40 years of experience in hosting international, local, and national business events. It's a purpose-built venue set on a tranquil campus in Pretoria East. That's the knowledge hub and science diplomacy capital, the city of Tshwane. So why don't you host your next business event at a venue where innovation meets experience? Visit csiricc.co.za for more information. The CSIR International Convention Center, where smart minds meet.
FlySafair is turning winter bookings into winter wins, and you still have time to join the fun. Book flights with us this month for travel anytime and stand to win the value of your airfare back as a FlySafair voucher. That means your money comes right back to you for a future flight with us. It's all part of FlySafair's Winter Win-Back. Book now at flysafair.co.za. Excludes taxes and fuel surcharges. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
What is your business here?
You didn't start your business to play it safe. You took the leap, made the bold move, and now it's time to make the next one. This week, 702 and Budget Business Insurance are giving small businesses the chance to win their share of 100,000 Rand with the Budget BizBucks Bonanza. Enter on primemediaplus.com. Tell us about the boldest move you've ever made in your business and what your next one will be. Then get an obligation-free Budget Business Insurance quote. 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa could call you. Budget Insurance is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's apply.
Join us.
Let's walk the talk.
This is 702.
Good morning, Bongani and team. I hope everyone is fine there in this call. Bongani, I think America was lucky to get this far. Well, yeah, they tried. Not really tried, but yeah. But the fact that Abu Trump, they've got any influence behind the scenes again. Oh wow! I mean, we had our own Zwani going through the same. So because we do not have our own Trump, then. But you know what? We mustn't mix politics with sport, eh? It's not gonna look good. But. Yeah, man. Sorry to Ronaldo. Yeah, we continue. Thank you, Bongani, and thanks for good show every single day. May God protect and lead you always. Awe.
Awe indeed. Except, of course, the USA. I don't know if they would consider themselves lucky to have got this far. It's the first time they haven't made it past the quarterfinals since 2002. So if anything, they usually do better than they've done this time round.
Who is the whizziest of them all?
It's the Whiz Quiz on 7.
Up next, a conversation about the National Health Insurance. In the meantime, let's play the Whiz Quiz with Huitsi Mudimu, who is 13 years old, goes to Hyde Park High, and would like to be a businessman later on in life. Huitsi Mudimu, I am told you have a favorite teacher. Who is it?
It's Miss Kumalo.
Miss Kumalo. And why is Miss Kumalo your favorite?
Because she can make things easier for me.
She helps you to make things easier. Well, let's see if we can make things easier for you by giving you some cash, shall we? Remember to play the Whiz Quiz. You must be age 10 to 13. You can go to primemediaplus.com to enter. Tell us your name, your age and school, and why you would like to play. Huitsi Mudimu, here we go. KG, start the clock. Give the third letter in the word multiple.
L.
Correct. True or false? Braille is a writing system used by blind people all over the world.
Can you repeat?
True or false? Braille is a writing system used by blind people all over the world.
False.
It's true. Which country's capital is Moscow?
Pass.
Russia. Complete the saying, a little what told me?
A little red.
A little birdie. What is at the bottom of your shoe or foot called beginning with an S?
Pass.
A sole. True or false? June is a winter month in South Africa.
True.
Correct. In maths, what is 16? Can't complete the question. I can't complete the question. We simply ran out of time. Ooh, Huitsi Mudimu, a bit of a rough round for you this morning. Not as well as you did in the test round, I'm afraid, but you still walk away with something. You got 7 in the pre-test, and you walk away with 200 Rand for this round.
The Brainy Kids of the Whiz Quiz
on 702.
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions,
your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
The fascinating piece published by Beki Sisa. And of course, it's from the health and human rights activist Mark Haywood, who really looks at the role the Constitutional Court process has played in 3 decades of protecting constitutional rights, including, of course, the right to health care. This time it's all about the national health insurance, the idea of creating a single fund that would purchase healthcare services for everyone, whether you rely on the public system or use the private system. The idea really is to make universal access to health care available, obviously, for everyone. Now, the NHI Act was signed into law 2 years ago, but it cannot be fully implemented until several key steps, including new funding legislation and regulations to be put in place. The challenge is not whether or not the law should have been signed, but it's whether there was enough of a public participation process before it was passed. And it will certainly have consequences not only for healthcare, but in general for how laws and legislation are drafted in this country. Mark, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Bongani, and lovely to speak to you again.
Am I right in saying that in general what the ConCourt is going to be dealing with here is not whether the NHI was good or bad policy, but rather whether the public participation process was worth what we are told?
You're exactly right, Bongani. The Constitutional Court heard two cases a couple of months ago in May, and both of those cases were about the process that Parliament followed in passing the National Health Insurance Act. And of course, when the Constitutional Court makes its determination, it will either say that the process was constitutionally compliant and legal, and therefore the Act can go ahead, or it will say that it fell short of what is expected of public participation, and therefore it has to return to Parliament. But I needed to distinguish that from the fact that the NHI Act, which is heavily contested, heavily disputed, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors and misunderstanding and disinformation and correct information all floating around it. But there's a whole nother set of legal actions that are targeting the Act that are to do with the content of the Act. But those actions will stand or fall ultimately depending upon whether the Constitutional Court says the process was legal or not. So that's where it stands. But I guess what the article is saying is that, the sides are bitterly divided in this debate in relation to the law, but 11 judges with hundreds of years of experience between them, with actually quite a deep kind of institutional knowledge of health, because so many health issues and related governance issues have been before the Constitutional Court. We can trust that they will make the right decision, and whatever that decision is, we have to prepare to work and live with it.
I suppose I've got two questions in one for you, Mark. I mean, I can find no one who would oppose the concept of universal access to health care. And yet, as you say, there's so much division around this particular policy. And I suppose one of the questions to ask more broadly, and even beyond healthcare, do we often just pay lip service to the idea of public participation? Is it really meaningful in South Africa in your experience?
Well, I think South Africa formally, on paper, treats public participation more seriously than almost any other country in the world. It's a mandatory requirement, and whenever it's challenged, the courts are very strict in determining what constitutes public participation. And I think our public is a very active public compared to many countries. And if you see NGOs and civil society organizations, and they make submissions after submissions, and there are protests, and that's all part of public participation. I guess there's two things that I would flag. One is, does government take the submissions that the public makes seriously enough? Because if it doesn't, that defeats the end of public participation. So if government has kind of made its mind up already and public participation is a tick box exercise, then it's not really meaningful. And that's really what this challenge is about. But there's another issue, Bongani, which is perhaps more critical, which is, are the public informed enough? Are the public getting enough access to critical information to participate as citizens in decision-making processes of government? And, with you as a journalist on a critical radio station, we have to look at the role of media and what is happening to media, the recession of media, the defunding of media, and what that means for public understanding of issues and ability to participate in public debate. Because what we don't want is just a sliver of society, the elites determining government policy. We want everybody. And because laws like national health insurance are meant to benefit the poorest of the poor, it is the poorest of the poor whose opinion, informed opinion, should be solicited and heard on critical matters like this.
And you can add, of course, the public broadcaster to that conversation, can't you, Mark?
Totally, absolutely.
Now, if the court finds that Parliament got the process wrong, I mean, do we go back to begin, not collect our 200 rand?
Well, it's difficult exactly what the court would order. That there are two cases. One concerns the National Council of the Provinces. One concerns the National Assembly. It's possible that the court may make quite a limited order and just say the National Council of the Provinces must properly consider the submissions of Gauteng and Western Cape, which were the submissions that were in dispute. Or it could require a much more kind of thorough redoing of the whole process. It's very hard to predict, but these were some of the issues that were, that were actually ventilated in court on those days.
And if I may echo your sentiment in the piece that you wrote for Bhekisisa, perhaps the one good thing out of all of this is how much South Africans in general do in fact trust the Apex Court.
No, totally. And that's, as I sat in the court for those days, and that's what kind of prompted this article in Bhekisisa eventually, I felt overwhelming sense of pride and trust. It was amazing. This NHI debate has been so furious and bitter and mudslinging and name-calling outside, but in the court, all the warring parties were sitting respectfully. The 11 judges had evidence and argument and everything they needed before them, and I thought this is the way we ought to solve disputes. And the article is about how actually on many occasions, Bongani, the courts have become a critical deadlock-breaking mechanism. And the most famous occasion is the Constitutional Court case in the Treatment Action Campaign case, where I would say literally one Constitutional Court judgment has contributed to preventing 5 million deaths ultimately, because that is the ultimate impact of the court's order.
Here. We got one thing right. Mark Haywood, health and human rights activist, co-founder of Section 27 and, of course, the Treatment Action Campaign. What will the court rule on NHI?
702.
Coming up, the big interview.
Up next, a new chairperson takes the helm at the National Lotteries Commission. Will we finally see that money being handled in a transparent, accountable way, delivering for communities who need it?
This is EWN.
Police say heads will roll for those involved in the murder of top cop Sindile Mfazi, and the Zimbabwean government blames a technical fault for the collapse of its national grid. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Police say several high-profile people are being investigated for their alleged involvement in the murder of former Deputy National Police Commissioner for Crime Detection, Sindile Mfazi. Mfazi's death in 2021 was initially attributed to COVID-19 complications, but it later emerged that forensic tests detected traces of poison in his body. Before his death, Mfazi had been overseeing investigations into high-profile cases, including PPE corruption and alleged SAPS tender fraud. Last night, police officially reclassified his death from an inquest to a full murder investigation. Alfred Mushwana has more.
A residential home in Midstream Estate was among 4 properties raided by the Special Task Force yesterday as part of the murder investigation into former senior police officer Sindile Mfazi. It remains unclear who owns the property or which other locations were searched, but police have confirmed that several high-profile individuals are under investigation. One person of interest was taken in for questioning late last night, while police are still searching for others believed to have played a role in Mfazi's 2021 murder. Police spokesperson Athlenda Ate says investigators are now trying to establish whether Mfazi's poisoning was linked to the high-profile corruption cases he was overseeing.
But I can confirm that they have seized a number of electronic gadgets to corroborate the evidence that they've gathered.
Former Crime Intelligence Officer Pilisande Tokeni told Parliament's Police Corruption Ad Hoc Committee in February that Mfazi was murdered because he was investigating an alleged multi-billion rand corruption network. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Centurion.
Evidence leaders at the Madlanga Commission have raised concerns with the lifestyle and wealth of crime intelligence top cop Feroz Khan. They say Khan lives a life that far exceeds his stated income. The commission yesterday heard evidence against Khan being read into record in his absence. He's currently in hospital after being shot during a suspected assassination attempt that happened last month. Tabiso Goba reports.
The financial disclosures of Crime Intelligence Deputy Head Feroz Khan show in 1 year he purchased a total of 30 cars. They also show Khan also has a car parts shop where he pockets about 3 million rand a year. Evidence leader Adila Hassim says Khan's wealth is concerning when evidence before the Madlanga Commission shows he was part of a scheme to manipulate a tender for supplying car parts to SAPS.
The problem is not that we have a police officer, a senior police officer with outside interests. It's not that you may never have an outside interest, and that's not at all what I am suggesting to the Commission. The problem, rather, is that General Khan is a senior crime intelligence officer at the time of the disclosures, and he was earning 2.5 times more a year than his public salary.
The Commission will continue to read into record its evidence against Khan today. However, some of it will be done behind closed doors due to security concerns. Tabi Sokoba, Eyewitness News.
The Board of Healthcare Funders says represents private medical aid schemes has heard that its litigation against the National Health Insurance could drag on for the last at least a decade. With several cases lodged by various organizations across the country's courts, the BHF's lead attorney on the matter, Neil Kirby, says the cases are worth pursuing because of the impacts the NHI could have on the quality of healthcare. In May, the Constitutional Court heard arguments in the BH's case challenging the public participation's aspect of Parliament passing the NHI bill. Lindsay Dentlinger takes a look.
BHF lawyer Neil Kirby has told the organisation's annual conference that at issue is not the principle of universal access to healthcare, but the standard at which that healthcare will be provided.
We have to get this right from a legal point of view. Otherwise, it's a slippery slope from the application of a constitution like ours.
Meanwhile, Wits University School of Public Health Professor Sharon Fon says while the proposed NHI fund in its current form has shortcomings, legal challenges are not the way to resolve them.
I think that we lack the kind of leadership we need to move this forward, and that's my point. Let's get out of the courts, let's get round a table. This is a policy process.
Health economist Paula Armstrong has warned that the ever-rising cost of private health insurance is making it increasingly more unaffordable for the working class, forcing them to turn to public health care. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News.
And Zimbabwe's electricity transmission and distribution company says a technical fault was to blame for the collapse of the national grid last night. A statement from the ZX said that all relevant departments had been notified and processes for power restoration were in progress. Zimbabwe has faced recurring power shortages in recent years due to low generation and aging infrastructure. The country generates most of its electricity at the coal-fired Hangwe power station in the northwest. Output for the Kariba hydro power plant, its other main source of electricity, has been constrained by low water levels caused by poor rainfall and the recurrent droughts. Gold is trading at $4,136.66 an ounce. The rand is at 16.21 to the dollar, 21.71 to the pound, 18.55 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $72.35 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident on the M1 North. It happened right near 11th Avenue. It's causing heavy delays coming out of Empire Road. And then do remember also that along the same route, we've got peak time delays coming out of Boysons Road. So budget about 40-minute hold up there.
And in your sport, Spain beat Portugal 1-0 with Marino's stoppage time goal to set up a quarterfinal with Belgium and beat the USA 4-1. The Springboks keep only 5 players from last week's squad for this weekend's clash with Scotland. And Proteas women all-rounder Marizanne Cup, the only South African named in the T20 World Cup team of the tournament.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. Johannesburg is at a low of 3 degrees, peaking at 21. Pretoria, 6 and 21 as well. Vereeniging, 1 and 20 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Police say several high-profile people are being investigated for their alleged involvement in the murder of former Deputy National Police Commissioner for Crime Detection, Sindile Mfazi.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Visit primemediaplus.com to enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for the people, for our Josie.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Nine minutes after 7 o'clock, police looking at high-profile individuals for their alleged involvement in the murder of a former Deputy National Police Commissioner for Crime Detection. Let that sink with you. High-profile individuals suspected to have been involved in what is now being investigated as a murder of a top cop in South Africa. Pause that thought for a moment. Let me take you to a story in the Sowetan. South Africa's healthcare sector is losing an estimated 30 billion rand a year due to fraud, waste and abuse, corrupt billing practices, fake healthcare providers, procurement irregularities. This places pressure on both the public and the private systems. This, of course, as the Special Investigating Unit looks at the healthcare sector. And they're saying as much as 15% of all healthcare claims are affected by fraud, waste, and abuse. Go to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry and the evidence we heard yesterday of top cops licking their lips at state tenders all the way up to National Treasury. It's a cesspool, is it not?
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
10 after 7 for all our focus on the World Cup and the interference by the US President Donald Trump. He, of course, is crowing about something completely different. Do you remember when there was for a day or so a blackout of the app TikTok in the United States? The concern, of course, that was being raised by the Americans was that they didn't know what was being done with the information of the American public because TikTok was formerly owned, at least all of it, by ByteDance, a Chinese company. And at some point under the Biden administration, TikTok was banned. And of course, when Trump returned to the Oval Office, that ban was put on pause. There was a deal brokered, which essentially created a new entity that would manage or own American TikTok, which would prevent, of course, any software updates or algorithm monitoring by Chinese officials, particularly for content coming out of the US. And for their troubles, the Trump administration got a $10 to $14 billion fee paid for supposedly brokering that deal. And Trump is now very happy with TikTok, which he credited as partly responsible for the win for his second term. So happy he is, he believes he's the biggest thing that's ever happened to the app.
Now, there's a thing called TikTok. Have you heard of it? I was watching a show this morning, Maria Bartiromo. She's fantastic. And on her show, they were talking about the dangers of TikTok. And it's Chinese, a whole thing with spying and what they're doing with it. Well, except it was announced about 2 days ago, the new numbers just came out. You know who the number one person in TikTok is by far? Trump, me. I just got, I'm number one. Like Taylor Swift was number 11. I'm number one in TikTok by far.
Yeah, ne? Perhaps we should pay attention to more serious presidents. Take your pick. Here are some classic idioms about the concept of hypocrisy. We all know people who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. Or the pot, perhaps not calling the kettle black. Practice what you preach. One of my favorites is hypocrisy is the homage vice pays to virtue. What is this all about? I want you to listen to President Cyril Ramaphosa, who was in Kofimvaba yesterday. This is a town in the Eastern Cape. Locals fondly call it Cough Town. Kofimvaba. He was leading a mobilization program to get volunteers for his party, the ANC, and he happened to be asked about the latest debacle, the PR nightmare, really, that the Democratic Alliance is facing over its former leader's firm, Resolve Communications, because, of course, it has emerged that Tony Leon was facilitating meetings between clients and GNU ministers, in particular those in the DA. This is what President Ramaphosa has to say about it.
With regards to the allegations that we are hearing about one called Tony Leon, I mean, that really smacks of the type of state capture that has been talked about. The very people who've been campaigning against state capture are now themselves deeply immersed in influencing where contracts should go in a very active way. So I think the truth will still need to come out when it comes to this.
Now, I found that interesting. The president essentially suggesting hypocrisy on the part of the Democratic Alliance. But as he stood there in Cough Town, he was flanked by the Eastern Cape Premier, who himself has been involved in a debacle over his qualifications and registration for degrees he wasn't eligible to be studying. Who's the hypocrite now?
You're with Bongani Bingwa.
7:02 weekday mornings, 6 to 9 a.m. EWN.
Got after 7. Let's check on the roads. Peak hour at this time now. Amo?
Yeah, that's correct, Bongani. We've got delays on the Mark 1 North. This is between Boyson's Road and 11th Avenue. An accident reported right near 11th causing these delays. About a 40-minute hold up there. While traveling on the M1 South, queuing traffic as well between the Baklu Interchange and Grayston Drive. If you're heading towards Bedford View, do expect delays on the N3 North between the Elands Interchange and Van Buren Road. That's due to roadworks. I'll have more details coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. 7:02.
The Big Interview
with Bongani Bingwa.
16 after 7. On to this now. The National Lotteries Commission has a new chairperson. And this time, it's more than just a change at the top. You'll remember, of course, the Commission for years found itself in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. Corruption, governance failures, court battles, serious questions about whether lottery money was reaching the people who need it most, the people it was meant to help. Under the former chair, and he spoke to us several times, Professor Bongani Bingwa, the priority was to steady the ship and rebuild the institution after it had been looted and used as a feeding trough by greedy looters and thieves. Now, I suppose you could argue, comes the next test. Can the Commission move beyond fixing itself and prove, in fact, that lottery money can reach charities, community organizations, and projects to make a real difference in people's lives? And that's the challenge facing the incoming chair, Tembinkosi Bonakele. He's, of course, a former competition commission commissioner and a member of the lottery board, and is now taking the helm at a time when South Africans will be looking for more than promises but results. A very good morning to you, and thank you for your time as always, Chair.
Thank you, Bongani. Thanks for inviting me. Good morning to you and the listeners.
Congratulations on your appointment. Now, you're taking over an organization very much still in the rebuilding phase, if you will, after serious governance failures. What, in your view, as you come in, is the single biggest job that still needs to be done?
Well, it's going back to the basics on exactly the same point you are making, that the National Lottery was established to fund good causes. And we need to go back there. And, South Africa, as a middle-income country, shouldn't be having people who are experiencing poverty. We shouldn't have starvation of children, stunted children. That's what this institution is for. So my singular focus is to ensure that the money reaches the beneficiaries that it was intended to reach. In simple terms, that's what we need to do.
How will you know when you're over your crisis management phase to a place where you've got strong governance and sustainable practices in place?
I suppose, this is one of those cases that need eternal vigilance, because it's a pot of money that for the longest time people thought they wouldn't be held accountable for dipping into it. So yes, that aspect of watching over this public purse is a continuous exercise. It's never going to be finished. But we really need to ensure that we reach some maturity in our systems for delivering the money to the intended beneficiaries. So we will know that we've reached that point where what we are known about, in your introduction, you also start with all of these malfeasance and corruption. I want you to start everybody, when they think about us, to think about the difference we are making in communities. That's when we would know that we've reached where we should be.
Yeah, the difficulty is that in many South African minds, the whole lottery process became synonymous with corruption. One of the issues, of course, was the loophole that allowed the old NLC leadership to not just wait for applications from would-be recipients, but to themselves identify needs and appoint NPOs of their choosing to run particular projects. Has that been changed? Because that was how, of course, it was used to grant tens of millions for fictitious projects, or at least people that could be connected to the decision makers.
There was a policy rethink and a freeze on proactive funding, what we call research-based funding, which is where proactively we identify the need and then we fund. But we've come back, Bongani, and realized that if you are going to wait for applications, applications have their own place. But remember, applications, you are waiting for people to apply, you issue a call, they must comply. But what if there is a disaster in the Western Cape or Eastern Cape caused by floods? Nobody's going to apply for that. You need to be able to proactively respond. So we haven't eliminated it completely. We're not going to deal with ethics by saying the boards who are supposed to be ethical and doing the right thing, if they are doing the wrong thing, we then say, no, we must just shut down the function. No, we must make sure that the people do the right thing. So we've gone back and said, we will still have proactive funding whenever it is necessary. And we've just built systems to make sure that we at least prevent the abuse. So now we've created multiple structures for decision making and so on and so forth.
Well, let me take you to the last financial year. The Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Trade and Industry announcing that the NLC had finalized 72 forensic reports, at least 63 instances of fraud, totaling almost 250 million rand in irregularities. Major fraud dockets, of course, handed over to prosecutors and the Hawks. That kind of thing, even with cleanup efforts, still happens.
I wouldn't say it still happens. A lot of this is historic, and we must really take our hats off to Professor Pichana, who came and provided the required leadership, ethical leadership, to get us to focus on eliminating corruption within NLC and rebuilding it for its original intended purpose. So we have a lot of historic investigations that are taking place, and they must. But I think we've gone past that. We are really on a rebuilding phase, and we are wanting to make a difference to our communities, which is what we should be known for.
We've seen in the past whistleblowers and community workers who flagged things that they were seeing, some of them blacklisted, even threatened by syndicates. That kind of thing, is it also a thing of the past? Has that been fixed? Do you have proper mechanisms now for reporting suspected wrongdoing in ways that will protect those who come forward with information and obviously deal with the wrongdoers?
Yes, I think this has really been the focus of the work in the past few years, is to ensure that we have systems, and that's what you should do when you're building an institution, is to make sure that you have systems to pick up things, to manage risk. When you have a lot of money and it's for the public, there are some people who think that it's their own money. So your risk mitigation measures have to be very strong. So we focused a lot on that. I'm not saying that it will never happen, or even that I give a guarantee that it's not happening now. But you don't have this systematic thing where everybody was in this feeding trough. The board, management, company secretary, just about everybody was supposed to be looking after this money was taking it. So we've stopped that, and that's the message we are sending.
One of the common complaints, of course, are delays in grant funding. Many community organizations saying they wait for months to get answers. How can applicants be assured now of faster turnaround times and, I suppose, a more predictable process, whatever its outcome?
So one of the things was to introduce a digital system that is much more efficient, but also removes a lot of human element in decision making. So we have that system. We've tested it. It's working. Of course, what it does now is to kick out a lot of NGOs that some of which of whom are doing good work. So we need to help them to comply. But the system now automatically picks up people who are non-compliant, and they are automatically excluded. So that system is there, is efficient, but we need to make sure that there is also capacity buildings to make sure that people comply and the system doesn't reject them.
I mean, it also, I suppose, is tricky because some organizations may rely on reputation and names. I'm thinking of that SIU, rather special tribunal order for the repayment of 25 million rand unlawfully diverted from one of your grants, and that involved SASCOC and other linked entities. I mean, what lessons can you learn from that particular case?
The biggest lesson is that you can't take things for granted, because the applicant before you is a reputable organization, and it's an organization that's doing
seems to be.
That's because where there are people, there are problems. This issue of ethics is a countrywide issue. It's not an NLC issue. So I think I said earlier, this requires eternal vigilance, regardless of who we are dealing with. So SASCOC, for an example, we also learned that you can't just refuse to fund SASCOC because the CFO or CEO was corrupt. You need to find ways of making sure that that system works for its intended purpose, which is to help young athletes.
It's a difficult one. Tech, AI, are you using those technologies perhaps to help you make better decisions, make more streamlined choices about funding?
Correct, yes. We are doing that. We are able to check the history. We now are talking about even deploying technology to monitor projects, because we have projects all over the country. Sometimes people in the past would say that, well, we've built an early learning center, we've built this and that. Those structures don't exist on the ground. So we rely more and more on technology to tell us, sometimes to even predict problems. So that's one area of focus. We have hired the right people with technical know-how to help us do this job.
I suppose as a parting shot, what is your message? I mean, because you may be the chair now, but of course you've served on the board previously, and I'd imagine that might give you some advantage, having noted what Professor Bongani Bingwa and the team started. But you talk more broadly about the ethical failures in public society in South Africa. What's your wish for how we get this right as a society, not just now the NLC, but more broadly as a society? Can we get back on track and be an ethical society?
Yeah, Bongani, we need to really go back to people valuing service and having examples in society. Where you have a society where everybody who is in leadership is suspected of being corrupt, then you have a major problem because it's a culture. So I think as a country, what we need to do is to change the culture, the thinking of people where uneducated people can be rewarded for engaging in criminality. They become role models. That's what you see in our media, that the billionaires are the corrupt. The billionaires are the ones who didn't go to school. That needs to change.
Indeed. Appreciate your time. Tembinkosi Bonakele, the new National Lotteries Commission chairperson.
EWN Business.
Ooh, Muteo Kharibe, we're talking about an ethical society, but now listen to this. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority calling out funds and companies not paying employees' retirement contributions.
Yeah, the FSCA, Bongani, has named over 6,000 employers who are in arrears with retirement fund contributions. The unpaid pensions contributions are climbed to an estimated 8.3 billion rand, affecting more than 500,000 retirement fund members. The number of employers listed has more than tripled in less than 3 years. This is the fifth list of defaulting employers the regulator has released since 2022 as part of its campaign to improve transparency. The employers were reported to the regulator for contravening Section 13A of the Pension Funds Act, which governs the payment of retirement fund contributions. Municipalities in the country remain a major area of concern. Entities participating in local government retirement funds accounts for about 21.5% of total arrears, while bargaining council funds represent nearly 77% of total arrears. Now, late payment interests now account for 43.5% of total arrears. The FSCA notes that it will continue to collaborate with key stakeholders, including the Auditor General, the National Treasury, and law enforcement to ensure accountability.
How are the markets?
Much weaker this morning. The JSE losing out yesterday because of those mining stocks that were down more than 1%. The rand this morning also in the red, 16 rand 24 against the US dollar, 18 rand 57 against the euro, and 21 rand 74 cents against the British pound. Price of gold at $4,126 an ounce, or platinum is lower by 1% at $1,614. Brent crude keeping low at $72 a barrel. More business after 8.
Time now for the latest eyewitness news, brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask them for 500 rand. And Swiss Zulu, you're staying with this NLC story.
That's right, Bongani. The National Lotteries Commission says the appointment of experienced lawyer Tembinkosi Bonakele as board chair positions the commission to enter a new phase of credibility building. Bonakele takes over from Bongani Bingwa, whose term comes to an end after a 4-year stint. The commission says Bonakele, who served as the commissioner for the Competition Commission, brings experience in regulation, governance and public sector leadership. Anelita Fandese has more.
One of Tembinkosi Bonakele's immediate tasks will be regaining public trust in the National Lotteries Commission, which has sustained several blows, being flagged in an extensive special investigating unit probe. His appointment comes soon after the SIU flagged millions in fraudulent grant funding at the NLC. Commissioner Jody Scholz.
His focus will be on reinforcing governance structures, enhancing oversight practices, and ensuring that the NLC delivers measurable public impact through responsible grant funding and transparent regulatory conduct.
In a statement, Bonakele said he is honoured by the appointment and intends to build on the governance reforms already implemented while reinforcing public trust in the Commission. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
Communications and Digital Technologies Minister Solly Malatsi says major reforms are on the cards to salvage the struggling State Information Technology Agency. This follows investigations by the Public Service Commission into the agency that provides key IT services to several state departments. The investigation also notes how more than 2 billion rand in irregular expenditure was flagged by the Auditor General across 4 audited years. Babalondenze reports.
Minister Solly Malatsi and the Public Service Commission released the findings following the investigation into the agency between 2020 and 2025. The PSC and the department have now resolved to lead a formal review of SETA's mandate and operating model, working with the National Treasury and the Presidency. Malatsi says the investigation has shown which areas need urgent attention.
Within 60 business days, SETA must submit a comprehensive governance reform plan to strengthen procurement controls, record keeping, board administration, and executive accountability.
SETA Managing Director Mahato Melo says SETA remains relevant as it enables more than 100 government departments with a variety of services. He says they continue to fill key roles in executive leadership as part of the turnaround. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News.
Civil society group Action Society says child pregnancies should trigger urgent intervention and closer scrutiny. The Western Cape Health Department says 292 girls in the province aged between 10 and 14 gave birth between April and December last year. Provincial authorities say this points to an ongoing public health and societal challenge, even though the number decreased from 317 during the same period in the previous year. Action Society spokesperson Juanita Duplessis says these cases should not be viewed in typical teenage pregnancies.
Pregnancies among children this young are driven by a combination of factors: sexual abuse, coercion, older men targeting vulnerable girls, poverty, poor supervision, family instability, lack of age-appropriate education, and children not knowing how or where to seek help.
Dupree says children should never be blamed.
A 10, 11, 12, 13 or 14-year-old girl is a child first, and the adults and systems around her carry the duty to protect her.
And China's leader Xi Jinping has called for an all-rescue operation after storms in central and southern China caused flooding and killed at least 10 people. Tornadoes were reported in some areas and one person is missing. Authorities also evacuated tens of thousands to safe areas. Xi has stressed the need to go all out in organizing emergency rescue operations, treating the injured and resettling affected residents, carrying out disaster prevention and relief work effectively. A fine day in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures are at lows of 1 and 6 degrees, peaking at highs between 20 and 21.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 South right as you approach Linksfield Road. That's due to an accident. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North between the Glulies Interchange and Modderfontein Road.
The top story this hour, the National Lotteries Commission says the appointment of Tembinkosi Bonakele as board chair positions the commission to enter a new phase of credibility building.
You may be paying more for medical aid this year, but switch to Outsurance and you could actually drop the price of your car insurance premium. You could save, like 43-year-old Ilana, who saves an unbelievable 349 Rand a month on her 2022 Suzuki Jimny. There's never been a better time to switch and save with Outsurance. Why wait? Get a quote today. SMS out to 45142. So that's out to 45142. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and information online.
Winter has entered the chat, and honestly, nobody wants that. Cold tiles, foggy windows, that one room nobody wants to sit in, and a dog who is pretty sure this is somehow your fault. Luckily, Chamberlain's winter savings are here from 18 June to 12 July. Warm up your home with great deals on heaters, firewood, anthracite, geyser blankets, insulation, paint and more. Plus, stock up on Jock Dog food for only 398 Rand. Because they might not like winter, but they'll love that. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
Africa's growth story is no longer only about potential. It is being built, scaled, and amplified across the continent. Standard Bank Business and Commercial Banking presents Africa Unlocked 2026 under the theme Built in Africa, Amplifying Continental Growth. Stay tuned to 702 for exclusive insights, strategic highlights, and impactful updates from Africa's premier platform for business and economic dialogue. Don't miss it. Standard Bank Africa Unlocked 2026 on 702. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Take control of your equipment, your billing, and your revenue with PumaTech. Built for all sized businesses in rental, construction, scaffolding, plant hire, and mining. PumaTech gives you real-time, on-site visibility of everything. Your equipment, your materials, across sites, yards, and branches. Simplify stock control, reduce losses, and manage your billing. All in one powerful, locally built platform. PumaTech. Know where everything is.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani and the listeners. With the Donald Trump matter, calling it politics is just actually giving it too much credit. Politics has some logic behind it when they get involved in sports. Yes, we may not agree with it. Sometimes we may agree with it. But there's logic. And what Donald Trump did with the red card is just plain bullying. And even the reasons he uses don't make any sense. He says he understands the sport. He understands the sport incredibly well, as he always does. He's always extreme about things. But anyway, he says he understands it very well. Then the next thing, he doesn't know what a red card is. That's not politics. That's just plain stupidity. That's not politics. We're giving it too much credit.
Hi, Bongani, sometimes I wonder if this guy all is well in his head. Keep me anonymous. I still want to travel. But hey, this president, shame.
Donald Trump and the red card issue. Bongani, there's a great line from a Bob Dylan song called Jokerman. It goes along the lines of, patriotism is the last refuge to which a scoundrel clings. Steal a little and they throw you in jail. Steal a lot and they make you king.
Yeah, indeed, right? And maybe we don't really so much, I think, have a Trump problem as much as we have a FIFA problem. I asked the question earlier. What's that one thing you know, but you don't want to know?
I don't think this is about Donald Trump. I think it's about FIFA. It's a FIFA tournament. It's the FIFA rules. It's how the game should be played, how the rules should be treated. So it's nothing about Trump. He shouldn't have any saying in that, and it's a FIFA decision.
That is, of course, Ståle Solbakken, who is the Norwegian football coach, saying actually this is not about Trump. This is about FIFA. We've always known there were issues with the World Football Governing Body, and we just really don't want to know, do we?
702.
What's the question?
What's the question is brought to you by Outsurance. A chance for you to win up to 3,000 Rand in cash. First, 1,000 Rand for the answer, then later 2,000 Rand if you can give us the question. SMS out to 45142 now, and you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask Outsurance for 500 Rand. Today's answer comes from Mutlanalo. Mutlanalo, please give us today's answer.
Today's answer is Kylie Minogue.
Ah, da-da-da, da-da-da. 1,000 Rand is coming your way, Mutlanalo. 1,000 Rand is coming your way thanks to Outsurance in 702. Mutlanalo's answer is Kylie Minogue. Kylie Minogue. What is the question? Call us if you know on 011 883 0702.
EWN Sport.
And just for extra confusion, Cindy Paluta, I sang the wrong song. Da 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 da. It's not the song that you think it is.
Oh.
It's the wrong la la la.
Oh.
You see what I did there? Okay. Let's talk rugby.
Yes, because the Springboks won't have Eben Etzebeth for the remainder of the month. He's still recovering from concussion. Here's coach Rassie Rasmus.
Loot might be ready next week. I think he's closer than the others. Ethan will be ready next week. Ethan Hooker will be available. Ox, Sasha, Krappies, all of them about 3 weeks before New Zealand will be ready. And I'll see you next week.
Only 5 players from England's win have been retained to face Scotland. They're Jesse Creel, Damian Willems, Peter Steph du Toit, Paul de Villiers and Ruan Nakier. Proteas women's all-rounder Marizanne Kapp was the only South African named in the T20 Cricket World Cup team at the tournament. Kapp took 8 wickets in the tournament, scoring 124 runs. At Wimbledon, the men's 5th seed Diminar is out, losing in straight sets to French Open runner-up Flavio Cobolli. Cobolli will play Ferry, who beat Dimitrov. Fritz waits to see who he plays in the quarterfinals after Ferry's game with Leheka was suspended due to strict 11 p.m. curfew rules. And at the Tour de France, stage 3 was won by the defending champion Tadej Pogacar, who now takes the yellow jersey.
The EWN World Cup Desk. The latest scores, the biggest stories, and the moments everyone's talking about.
Spain beating Portugal last night, 1-0 to go through to the quarterfinals. Mourinho came off the bench and scored in the 91st minute. Portugal defender Nelson Semedo.
It was a tough game for both sides. I think we created chances, they created chances as well. 2 great teams playing against each other. Well, at the end, they scored a goal and they won the game. But I think it was a very balanced game. And yeah, I just want to say congratulations to Spain.
The game was Cristiano Ronaldo's last World Cup match for Portugal. Spain's Rodri says Ronaldo's brilliance can't be questioned.
Talking about Cristiano Ronaldo is talking about one of the best players in the history of football. His mentality, the way he understands the game, always trying to score, always trying to be the best of himself. I think with 41 years old, is remarkable. I think his country has to be so proud of him to play 6 World Cups. It's incredible and an example for all the generations that come before him.
Spain will play Belgium in the quarterfinal on Friday night at 9. Belgium thrashed the USA 4-1 with 2 goals from De Ketelaere, Lukaku adding the last one. The start of the match was not without controversy, as you've heard this morning, when President Donald Trump confirmed he asked FIFA to review the one-match suspension for USA striker Folarin Balogun. Technically, FIFA bent its own rules to avoid punishing the US government for political interference.
That wasn't a foul. That wasn't even an infraction. That was 2 guys running full speed that happened to crash into each other. And this referee, who is a little bit suspect, he made a call that nobody could believe. You know, I asked for a review because I didn't think it was a foul. That was not a guy punching somebody in the face or anything. I didn't tell him what to do. I can't tell him what to do. And they made the right decision. If you would have taken him out, I think it would have really stained this incredible champion.
Okay, go. Go then. We're chatting off air. Go for it.
So this player, I mean, I made the quip earlier that he's got the most West African sounding name with the most English accent. So why is he an American?
This is fascinating. His mom was heavily pregnant with him and wanted to fly home from the USA, and they wouldn't allow her to board on the plane.
No.
So the exact bill that Donald Trump is trying to stop, which basically means if your child is born in America,
the US,
they are a US citizen. He is a US citizen as a result of his mother not being able to board that plane. Yeah. Tonight, Africa supporting Egypt as they take on defending champions Argentina at 6, followed by Colombia playing Switzerland at 10. And the French Football Federation plans to file criminal charges against Paraguayan Senator Celeste Amarilla for comments posted on Twitter in which she called Kylian Mbappe a colonized Cameroonian after Paraguay lost to France in the last 16. Mbappe has condemned her as despicable and unworthy of her position. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
From kickoff to the final whistle, this is the EWN World Cup Desk.
EWN Traffic.
14 to 8, this EWN Traffic brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. And you could save on your car insurance. If you don't, you can ask them for 500 Rand. Amo, there's issues on the M1 North.
That's correct, Bongani. That's due to an accident right after 11th Avenue in the Harton area. It's causing about a 20-minute hold-up from Empire Road. There's also queuing traffic reported in Greenstone. This is along Van Riebeek Road. The accident scene there happened right near Stone Ridge Road. Is causing about a 20-minute hold-up. While traveling on the N3 North, we still have got delays. This is between the Elands Interchange and Van Buren Road. peak time delays there, as well as roadworks heading towards Bedford View. The M2 West is also affected coming out of the Geldenes interchange, so please be on the lookout there while traveling. On the N1 South, delays approaching Oliphantfontein Road. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
15 minutes watching funny dog videos go by quickly. I mean, have you seen those, Amo, where they dress up the dog and they put a mask on it and it goes around scaring all the little cats? But 15 minutes stuck in traffic, ooh, now that feels like torture. Unless you listening to 702 Breakfast. Now, fortunately, the Outsurance Pointsmen are there to save the day. The heroes in green and purple have been easing traffic congestion for 20 years, helping everyone get to where they need to be quickly and safely. And it's just another way you always get something out, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Visit primemediaplus.com to enter 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Jozi.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
So when you're walking the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, this is Sunday the 26th of July, one of the things you have to do is keep your eyes open, because Mazda is going to be bringing wonder, particularly to the 8-kilometer route. So they're going to have 5 Mazda Wonder experiences. They're going to have a piano performance, I know, right? A world of color, a bubble field, a Japanese garden, and the Mazda Wonder Hub. Now, if you visit one of the 5, what you have to do is capture the moment and share that wonder moment on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok. Tag and follow at Mazda SA using hashtag Mazda SA, and you could win your share of 50,000 Rand. Mazda, where wonder awaits. T's and C's apply.
At the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, snap and share any one of 5 Mazda Wonder experiences using hashtag Mazda SA to stand a chance to win a share of 50,000 Rand.
Sure, they aced it. The Championships Wimbledon experience with the Mzansi Advantage is back at Amex Tennistown Monte Casino between 11 and 12 July 2026. Enjoy VIP hospitality, the ultimate big screen experience, a kids fun zone, and so much more. Buy your tickets now on Howler and get 50% off on limited tickets when you use your Amex card. Tennis is better with Amex. American Express Cards is operated under license in South Africa by Nedbank, a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The Clement Manyatela Show will be hosting the Unemployment Hour this Wednesday. This is the 8th of July from 10 a.m. The idea is for job seekers to market themselves to potential employers. So if you're an employer, this is an opportunity for you to find the skills and talent you require. And of course, if you're unemployed, you can call into the show for your opportunity to market your skills. If you're an employer, send an email to cm@702 with your required skills set, and Clement's team will try and match you with potential candidates. The Unemployment Hour on the Clement Manyatela Show, connecting you to opportunities only on 702. Let's walk the talk.
702.
What's the question?
For 2,000 Rand in cash, all thanks to Outsurance. Please tell me what's the question. If the answer is Kylie Minogue. Let's go to Pravin in Sunning Hill. Pravin, what's the question?
Good morning to you, Bongani. The question is, which singer did the Australian Prime Minister Albanese refer to in a game show interview?
Well, it was a podcast, and he made what many are regarding as inappropriate comments. We'll get more details from Adam Gilchrist in The Worldview a little later on. But Pravin, you're absolutely right. 2,000 Rand is coming your way, all thanks to Outsurance and 702. And perhaps the way we should remember Kylie Minogue is for her music. You may be paying more for medical aid this year, but if you switch to OUTsurance, you could actually drop the price of your car insurance premium. You could save big. Like 43-year-old Ilana, who saves an unbelievable 349 Rand a month on her 2022 Suzuki Jimny. There's never been a better time to switch and save with OUTsurance, so why wait? Get a quote today. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. OUTsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
FlySafair is turning winter bookings into winter wins, and you still have time to join the fun. Book flights with us this month for travel anytime, and stand to win the value of your airfare back as a FlySafair voucher. That means your money comes right back to you for a future flight with us. It's all part of FlySafair's winter win-back. Book now at flysafair.co.za. Excludes taxes and fuel surcharges. FlySafair, for the love of flying. T's and C's apply.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials.
It's the flavor!
Real reviews by real people. Nadine from Belito is no scallop, but she did call the flame-grilled half chicken in Nando's unique peri-peri recipe with a single side of your choice for $125 dope. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, sorry. Relax, Nadine. The only thing we're busting here is your hunger. Okay? Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Smart business moves mean more cash flow. Switch to OUTsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's Dr. Fahim from Matrix Dental.
We were with our previous insurers for many years prior to the switch. We found that OUTsurance really understood our business needs. We are happy with our premiums. I wish we had switched sooner.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
702.
702. What's gone viral?
With Kabazela.
Let's catch up now with the world of viral content. Freak accidents are just the worst. Kabazela?
Good morning, Bongani Bingwa. Freak accidents are freaky of nature, obviously, right? So if you saw this video of Jordan Henderson, who's in the England team, well, he's out now for the rest of the World Cup. It was after the game against Mexico, and they were there close to the advertising hoardings. And I think the first player to jump over it is Harry Kane, and then Jordan Henderson tries to do the same thing. Now, if you can picture this, the advertising hoardings are lower than a person's hip height if you're a tall man, and it's a pretty easy thing to jump over. And he attempts to jump over it, and then he kind of slips, and he falls completely awkward, and he falls onto his one of his arms, and you just see this awkward fall, horrible fall, and he ends up snapping his wrist, and he has to go and have surgery, but completely, a freak accident, because 9 times out of 10 he would have done that quite easily. He's an athlete, he can move his body, that's not a difficult thing to do. So shame, he's going to be out now for the rest of the World Cup, but you watch that video and it's just really, really gross. So I wanted to ask our 702 family this morning about your freak accidents. Completely freak accident that happened to you, and you injured yourself, and you look back at it and you thought, how on earth did that happen? How did I manage to do that and hurt myself? Because it was a freak accident, right? So let's hear those stories this morning.
And what's a pantry, Kabazela?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, you may grow up and then you go to different people's houses, friends or family, and you are exposed to different things. And it's like, wow, I never knew, you could have that or that was around, because maybe at the time your parents didn't have the means to afford those kind of things. So let's take a listen to Kobe Bryant talking about pantry.
It's LeBron
James. Oh, sorry, LeBron James. About
all basketball players look the same.
You said it.
I didn't know
about a pantry.
I didn't know what a pantry was until my freshman year of high school. I went to my high school coach's house. His name was Coach Dambrot. And I went to his house and I asked him, can I get a snack or some chips or whatever the case may be or whatever. He was like, yeah, just go in the pantry. I'm like, pantry? I'm like, where I grew up, everything is on top of the refrigerator, bro. The bread, the chips, the cereal, everything is on top of the refrigerator. I don't know what the hell a pantry is. So like, that was my motivation right there. I'm like, I gotta give my mama a pantry.
Oh, I love that story. I love. Have you got a pantry?
I have a pantry, yes. I didn't have a pantry growing up.
You made sure.
We got a pantry. It's a small pantry, modest pantry. But yeah, we have a pantry. But I don't keep much food in there. It's mostly, I use it for
golf
storage
balls
of
and golfs. Yeah, I can imagine. Look,
wish.
it's a real thing to discover
It is.
something you haven't seen at your house. Maybe you go to family or you're visiting friends and you see something that you've never seen before that you certainly don't have at home. The first time I saw a television, I was playing with the kids next door and I thought, oh my gosh, what's that? Because in those days, and that tells you how young I am, Kabazela, in those days, not everyone had a television set. So what's that thing? What's that thing you saw in a different environment from your home or from where you grew up?
702. Feedback
with Rupfiwa Kone.
Rupfiwa, have you had that aha moment where you go visit someone else's house and you go,
Yo, growing up in the suburbs, Bongani, we lived in the cottage. We didn't live in the main house. And some houses had something called, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but iskalari, where you wash your dishes and everything is separate, the sink, the dishwasher. So I didn't know what a scullery is until I was a bit older.
And you've got a scullery now, I bet. Now I bet. Your kids won't be telling that story.
Oh, stop it,
Snap,
Bongani.
snap.
Well, Bongani, back to the producer's desk. We've got feedback coming in from football fans who are celebrating the exit of the United States of America, saying Belgium really deserved.
Yeah, and it's unfair to the players, right? It's unfair to football.
Yes, and that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Now, at least the focus can come back to football and leave the political
But that's what
things.
we do. We focus on the game and we forget the mess around it. And there's been so much mess around this particular tournament. But the game saves the corrupt officials. And the less I say about the politicians, perhaps the better.
Oh, and Bongani, your questions, things that you want to know and that you don't want to know.
Things that you do know.
Do know and that you don't want to know.
That refers as a scullery.
702 Landers came through there saying, in South Africa, we've made it a norm to give cold drink money to just speed up service delivery and things like that. That is completely out. We don't need that.
Yeah, when the cop asks for a cold drink, you know.
He
doesn't want a literal Coca-Cola.
Absolutely.
I wonder what would happen if you kept cans of Coke.
And we dished those out instead.
Funny you should ask.
I do have a can.
Let's go to the news.
This is EWN.
Kat Matlala's lawyers will make an appearance at the Madlanga Commission today, and there's a call for a lifestyle audit on Dina Pule. Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. Lawyers for alleged crime underworld boss Vusmuzi Kat Matlala are expected to appear before the Madlanga Commission today. Matlala was set to testify, but an agreement has been reached to postpone his hearing to a later date. Matlala is currently in prison for two separate cases, facing several charges including attempted murder, fraud and corruption. Tabiso Goba reports.
The name of tender tycoon and alleged crime boss Vusumuzi Kat Matlala has been mentioned countless times since the Madlanga Commission began its hearings in September. Matlala has been implicated in paying off some of the most senior officers in the SAPS. He's alleged to have used his influence to have people arrested, to access confidential police documents, and to score multi-million rand tenders. Matlala has also been linked with senior ANC politicians and ministers. The commission has described him as a central figure to its investigation. He's currently in the middle of plea negotiations with the state regarding his corruption charges, something that could potentially affect his testimony before the Madlanga Commission. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
The DA wants the presidency to conduct an immediate lifestyle audit on the new Minister of Social Development, Dina Pule. Pule was appointed to cabinet last week, more than a decade after she was dismissed for unethical conduct related to her tenure as Communications Minister. While the ANC says Pule can't be condemned for her misdemeanors of the past forever, the DA says she can't be trusted given her track record of unethical conduct. Lindsay Dentlinga has more.
Dina Pule is replacing another former beleaguered leader of the ANC Women's League, Sisisi Tolashe, who was fired by President Cyril Ramaphosa in May, following maladministration in her department and allegations of redirecting a donation of cars to the League to her children. The DA yesterday delivered a letter to the presidency demanding a baseline assessment of Pule's finances and assets. The party's Nazli Sharif says Pule is unfit to lead.
The Department of Social Development serves the country's most vulnerable people, and taxpayers deserve confidence that public resources will be protected.
Pule was found to have misconducted herself both by the Public Protector and Parliament during her last stint as Cabinet Minister in 2013, when she was found to have tailored contracts to benefit her romantic partner. Last week, ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula said Pule had voluntarily removed herself from public life following the investigations, and the party believes her to have been repentant. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The death of a Malawian national during a repatriation operation is now under police investigation. The man died on Sunday after a bus carrying Malawians left a repatriation processing center, forcing the driver to turn back so police could begin their investigation. The incident comes days after of voluntary repatriation efforts which followed last week's anti-illegal immigration protests and the gathering of hundreds of Malawians outside their consulate in Johannesburg seeking assistance to return home. Mongezi Koko reports.
Government says the bus was about 10 kilometers from the processing center when the passenger died. SAPS were immediately called to the scene to conduct forensic examinations in cases of sudden and unexplained deaths. Only after those processes were completed was the bus released to continue its journey to Malawi. Government says the circumstances surrounding the death will be formally communicated to Malawian authorities through diplomatic channels. Deputy Government spokesperson William Baloyi.
The South African Police Service was immediately called to the scene to conduct the requisite police procedures, including forensic examination, in line with standard protocols governing sudden and unexplained deaths.
Government has also extended its condolences to the family of the deceased. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
And Ukraine's president says he plans to use the NATO meeting in Turkey to urge Kyiv's allies to deliver the air defense systems that it currently needs to urgently protect it from escalating Russian attacks. Volodymyr Zelensky's call for help rings with extra intensity after Russian missiles struck Ukraine's capital twice, and this was in less than a week, crashing into blocks of flats and killing more than 50 people. The latest strikes on Ukraine come as it has been stepping up its own long-range drone attacks and against Russia, hitting oil refineries and military targets there and causing significant fuel shortages and power cuts. The summit in Ankara will also be a chance for Zelensky to hold a meeting with US President Donald Trump. Trump is also heading to Ankara for the summit after speaking to both the presidents of Russia and Ukraine over the weekend, and he says they both want the war to end.
President Putin wants it to end. I will tell you that very strongly. A good call. And President Zelensky actually wants it to end now. And we're going to be going to NATO and we're going to be talking about it. And I think we're going to get it. I think we're going to get it ended.
Gold is trading at $4,136.66 an ounce. The rand is at 16.21 to the dollar, 21.71 to the pound, 18.55 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $72.35 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in four ways along Winnie Mandela Drive approaching the N1. That's due to an accident coming out of Witkoppen Road. There's also queuing traffic due to peak time pressure in Paulshof along Witkoppen Road approaching Rivonia Road.
And in your sport, World Cup action tonight, Egypt against Argentina at 6, followed by Switzerland playing Colombia. Last night, Spain beat Portugal and Belgium thrashed the USA to advance to the quarterfinals. Springboks without Eben Etzebeth and Oxenchair for the rest of the month. And it's quarterfinal time at Wimbledon today with Sinner, Djokovic, Goff and Pegula all in action.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 21 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Lawyers for alleged crime underworld boss Vusumuzi Cat Matlala are expected to appear at the Madlanga Commission today.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
8 after 8. Let's talk about what's gone viral with Kabazela. So much seriousness in the news. I see Pick It Up has not improved at all since we spoke to them yesterday. Areas in parts of Johannesburg without refuse collection because of all the problems we highlighted on the show just yesterday. Lawyers for the alleged underworld kingpin, Vusumuzi Cat Matlala, will be appearing before the Madlanga Commission today. Remember, we're expecting to hear from Matlala himself today, but an agreement was reached to postpone his hearing to a later date. So more details to emerge on that one, no doubt. Have you had a freak accident? Kabazela wants to know. You ended up hurting yourself. You did something silly you wouldn't ordinarily do. Was at the gym, perhaps. You were running. You twisted your ankle in just that awful way. Amo and Muteo, I'm now at that age where I'm conscious that falling from now on shouldn't happen to me. I'm over 50. If I fall, it will be no laughing matter. Well, I'm sure everybody else around me will find it funny. But after 50, apparently don't fall, hey? For any reason. What's a pantry? LeBron James sharing a story of how he discovered that visiting a coach's house. The first time I saw a television set, was next door. My friend, Utriko Mvambo, they had a TV. And here's the full circle moment of it all. One of the first, I don't know if it was the very first thing I saw on TV, but certainly one of the first people I remember seeing was later a colleague of mine, Derek Watts. We worked together at Carte Blanche. I first saw him presenting Top Sport and Next Door.
Morning, Bongani and the team. Great show. MJ here. My side is the Skylight. Yeah. The first time I saw the Skylight was me visiting someone in Cape Town a long time ago when I was still a student. And ever since I told myself I'm going to have a Skylight at my house. So now I've got about 4, one in my bedroom. I enjoy the morning sun when it rises in my bedroom. Thanks. Great show.
Good morning, Bongani. I hope that you're doing well. It is Betsy from Sandton. For me, what's because I obviously, grew up and stuff, but for me what stuck out was a sunroom. So there's a specific room in people's houses where the sun shines or they have a skylight and they call that the sunroom. So when somebody was like, Betsy, go to the sunroom, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Must I go outside? Or what?
Bongal 702 Lenders, good morning. I just laughed at that story of a pantry. But I'm actually thinking, must I Google it or are you going to share what a pantry is? Because I still don't know. Remember, some of us really grew up from those rural areas. There was not even a fridge at the time, Everything was in that roundable, house, the thatch house. And we had cupboards instead of... So what is a pantry? Please help a sister out. Thanks, guys, for a great show. Shadi, Kempton Park.
We actually had both. We had Iskalari Nepentri because at one point we were living, So as the homelands were becoming quote-unquote independent, a lot of the white officials who'd been part of the colonial administration then left, and the middle class that was emerging could then move into those homes. So these weren't homes sort of built township style. And so you would have a house with a scullery and a pantry, even though we didn't have a television set, go figure, right? So a pantry is simply that side room where you keep all your groceries, all your dry groceries in particular. So for those minimalist kitchens where you don't have everything up front, your scullery is essentially an extended grocery cupboard space. And sometimes your pantry and scullery are mixed because that's where you would obviously do all the dishes out of sight from your visitors. So it's a room within a room. in the back of your kitchen, typically for most people. And the scullery part is just where you would keep your dishwasher. You'd perhaps use it as also as a kind of washing room, and obviously the sink where the dishes are. But there's a door that separates it from the main kitchen. And so if visitors should walk through, they won't see all of the nasties. Amo, what's that thing you first discovered visiting a next door?
Well, it wasn't a next door. I was visiting one of the suburbs with my grandmother, who used to be a domestic worker, obviously. So during the holidays, she was like, no, come, let's go to where I work. And we walk into this beautiful big house, but I mean, just big, lavish house, right? But the thing that caught me the most was the toy room where the kids would go in and play.
A toy room.
They didn't play in their bedrooms. Never mind that they were big enough with the bathroom inside and all of that. They had their toy room where they just went there and played and read books and did all of these things. I still don't have a toy room now.
Mateo?
The Nkosis. It was a single father raising 3 boys. 2 of them were my friends at school. So they invited me for a sleepover. They lived across the trade center, or a big shopping area, which we used to travel by taxi to go to buy groceries every month. And we used to walk there, and I was like, this is a different life.
So the Nkosis could just walk to the mall, as it were?
Yeah, just walk to the mall. It's right across from their house, and their bedrooms are upstairs. It was a different experience for me. And they each have their own bedroom. So it was just like, oh my word.
Who lives like that?
Yeah, who lives like that?
Who lives like that, right? I mean, you want to talk about how life changes. So not only did I discover the television set next door, I remember we would watch Knight Rider, The A-Team, and Next Door. I mean, these are programs that started 7 p.m., I think, on a Monday night was Knight Rider on the old TV1. Someone remind me. But you would go next door.
To watch kids.
TV. I'm trying to imagine some 8-year-old knocking on my door now, asking to come and watch the television.
But it was normal then.
I know.
Very
but it's
communal.
just, But it's just, huh? You know, in the conversations about bedtime and have you bathed, bedtime stories, those didn't exist. You could actually go next door late at night to go watch TV.
Bongani team, I hope you're well. Yeah, for me, it was the dishwasher. The first time I saw a dishwasher, so we're just instructed the 2 of us were instructed to move the dishwasher from point A to point B. In my mind, I knew a dishwasher as our sunlight and stuff, that liquid. So the person who was giving me the instruction just saw me. I was blank. I was like, why would you need 2 people to move, to lift actually a dishwasher? That was the first time that I saw a dishwasher, that machine, the dishwasher. I'll never forget it. It was an awkward moment, yeah. It was very awkward.
I mean, I had a friend, this is quite late into adulthood, who had a dishwasher, and I thought, oh gosh, really now? And of course, some years later, I got a dishwasher, and I remember phoning her to find out, to make doubly sure, could I use Sunlight dishwashing liquid? And of course I couldn't, and thank goodness I'd asked, right? But it's one of those things, you think we arrived here yesterday, right, Mateo?
I mean, there's a lot, when you share your experiences about watching TV next door, like whoever had the VHS then became...
A video.
Yeah.
Wasn't just a VHS.
You have a video, we're coming to your house for movies. If you have the TV game, you are the kid, you know. If you have the one bicycle, we're taking turns.
So ultimately, we're all pretending as if we've been here, when in fact, we just arrived.
Morning, Bongani. Oh my goodness, I'm sure anybody who knows me listen to this is just going to laugh because this is so recent. It's cold and suddenly amagundwane rufini, guys. We are in the burbs. So I'm like, man, I grew up going up the roof and doing all these things. I don't need anybody to do this for me. Hired some men, they came. So I'm like, no, I want to see what's going on up there. I want to see the job first before we can do it. I go up the ceiling. Did I not miss a step? Did I not fall and crack the rib? So I'm still in recovery. So that's a freak accident. And I'm like, I did this. So yeah, you're right. In my early 40s, I'm so not doing anything like that anymore. I'm a superwoman. It just ended. It ended right now, like this past month. Yeah. Interesting topic though. Thank you.
Good morning, Bongani and Kabazela. One Christmas morning, I got my son a Father Christmas hoverboard. So after he opened it, I saw him glide so easily on it. I thought, if he can do it, I can easily do it. I went onto that hoverboard. I fell so hard. I fell on my back and I hit my thumb on the edge of the stairs to an extent that I had a gashing wound on my thumb. I had to go to hospital for my thumb to be stitched. Kabul in Pretoria.
How do you explain that at work? I had to go to hospital because I fell off a hoverboard.
Trying something new.
Those injuries that you've sustained. I fell off a hoverboard. How do you even begin to explain that?
Morning, Bongos. Morning, in Tanga. Yeah, I'm saying Tanga because I know your age. It's in a public space. Yeah, the first time I saw the TV, it was in the 80s. I had to walk from the rural area next to Malamulele down in Limpopo to go and watch the TV at Malamulele. It's a couple of kilometers. Yeah, that is how I started to know that there is something called television.
Good morning, Bongani. This is Selma from Roodepoort. I once saw a bee day in some fancy spot when I was still young, and I thought, what do you do with this? And instead of looking it up in the dictionary, I didn't, and years later I finally found out. I also had a freak accident where my one cat sort of got spooked all of a sudden by I don't know what, ran in between my two legs as I was moving forward. I came down like a ton of bricks and broke my hip right off. Thanks for a lovely show. Bye.
Thank you for that voice note. Yeah, at 4011, you don't want to fall. There will be something to break after a certain age. Walking 2 kilometers just to go watch TV, I mean, that's not quite a next door. Isn't it funny how there can be days, but days where I don't even watch, I don't even switch on the TV.
You don't even switch it on anymore.
There's so much else to do, right? Yeah.
Good morning, Bongani and team. I'm just having a bit of a chuckle here at the keeping a can of Coke in your car. Funny you should ask. When I was doing my articles back in Durban in 2005, I was driving to the High Court with my principal at the time, and she would keep a bag of apples in her car to give to people who were asking for food on the streets. And the one day we were coming up to the Esplanade, and she gave this woman a apple, and as we drove off, the woman threw the apple back at the car. So that was a nice memory. Zunaid from Pretoria.
EWN.
20 after 8, yeah, it does happen. Not everybody who's at the street light necessarily wants your particularly leftover food, hey? Amo? Who's laughing, almost crashing their car? Why are there delays in fourways?
There's an accident, actually, Bongani. It happened right on the Winnie Mandela Drive near the N1. It's causing delays coming out of Witkoppen Road, about a 20-minute hold up there. And then if you're traveling in Paulshof, we've got more delays along Witkoppen Road approaching the Rivonia Road exit. Peak time delays there. That accident we spoke about earlier in Halton is still there on the Markwan North, right near 11th Avenue, causing heavy traffic volumes. We'll have more updates coming up. Stay tuned.
You know when your people are giving their best, not because they're pushed or pressured, but because they feel supported. And support is making sure they're covered. So if something happens, they can get the care they need. FlexiCare Health Insurance makes it simple for every business to protect their people with affordable health cover. You care. We cover. For a tailored FlexiCare quote, speak to your financial advisor today. FlexiCare is not a medical scheme and the cover is not the same. FlexiCare is underwritten by Auto & General, a licensed non-life insurer and FSP, and administered by Discovery Health, an authorized FSP.
Hi, this is Teko Modise, Hollywood Bets brand ambassador.
Be a winner who knows when it's time for a timeout and play responsibly. If you or someone you know needs help, call the South African Responsible Gambling Toll-Free Counseling Line on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. Hollywood Bets supports responsible gambling. No person under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop.
If you're a fan of the beautiful game, you'll recognize this. And this. But what about this? It's your chance to score big time. Win your share of up to 2 million rand with Standard Bank. It's game day every day. To enter, open and use any qualifying Standard Bank account, in-app or in branch. Already a Standard Bank customer? Sign up for Standard Bank Connect online to get a bonus entry. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
702, The World View.
With Adam Gilchrist.
Catch up now with news from elsewhere in the world. Adam, a very good morning to you. We'll start in Thailand.
Morning.
Tell me about this really macabre murder investigation, it sounds.
We'll spare some of the details because the details are a little grisly, but detectives are investigating possible links between the murder of a Thai teenager and the murder of 3 other women, possibly all by the same Australian tourist. At this stage, Simon Peter Carman is accused of killing a 17-year-old, Tun Chanuk Donhomna, and there's CCTV footage of him with her.
Ooh, Adam, I think our connection just cut off there. Adam, do we have you on the line? Adam Gilchrist, I think our connection just cut off there. I really do want to hear more about that story. Perhaps let's try and get Adam on the phone line for all the advances of technology.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, we got you back. All right. So you were still telling us
good.
That, so these deaths are all linked to one Australian tourist, you were saying?
At this stage, he's certainly being questioned over these 4 deaths. So there's one in particular where you see him dragging a heavy suitcase out of a hotel, having been with a teenager, Tun Chanuk Donhomla, in that hotel before. Her body was eventually found stuffed inside a suitcase. Putting 2 and 2 together, it's not hard to do. But there were 3 other women who were found previously, again, all in suitcases, weighted down, one in the sea, one in a reservoir, one by a road. Could they all be the work of one person? Certainly the modus operandi suggests that it was. It's very grisly, it's horrible, and it is gripping Thailand like crazy as to what has happened, and is it all down to this one tourist?
Good God, I have a 17-year-old daughter. I can't imagine what those families must be dealing with. From one, I suppose, sad news about a teenager to one positive story, Adam.
Yeah, from the earthquakes in Venezuela, and they are sort of holding on to this as a positivity, is the survival story of a 12-year-old girl called Fabiana Blanco, who was pulled out of the rubble after 32 hours. So she was stuck under the collapsed apartment building where she and her mum lived. At the time, she says that she went into the kitchen when the whole apartment began to shake, and she held on to the counter. And then all the walls around her collapsed, and then she plummeted down several floors and ended up on her back with the ceiling pretty much against her nose, trapped as she was. She did hear a neighbor after a few hours calling out, "Is there anyone else alive?" And she answered, did Fabiana. And the neighbor, who then got rescued a few hours after that, told the rescue search party that, yes, my neighbor Fabiana is still in there. So they searched for her and eventually got her out after, as I say, 32 hours. But there she was, trapped, but able to move a little bit around, just move her arms around. And she managed to find some tomato ketchup and grated cheese. So instant kind of margarita pizza, isn't it? And she survived on that during her ordeal. But she's come out smiling. And I think that's what people love about it, is that she's had the most terrible experience. And unfortunately, rather a lot of her neighbors have been killed in the collapsed building. But she is smiling and has become the positive image in Venezuela, given that we've also just seen the death toll go up again overnight. It's over 3,500 people now.
Let's go down under. Adam, Australia's Prime Minister, in hot water for insensitive remarks. He thought he should be so lucky.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, he was invited onto a comedian's podcast. And of course, there's that thing when politicians do this, they go on something they think is going to be light and fun and breezy, and then they get caught out because they get asked odd questions. If he'd gone for a full-on political heavyweight interview, he could have dodged the questions as so many politicians do or not answered them. But when the comedian Nicky Osborne turned to Anthony Albanese, the Australian Prime Minister, and said, "Who would you shag, marry, or date?" and gave him three famous Australians, one of whom was Kylie Minogue. He tried to avoid it, saying, "Look, I've only been married 6 months." "Oh, go on, answer." "Kylie, clearly," said the Prime Minister, which has now gone around the whole of Australia as a, oh no, what has he done? He also, though, it didn't stop there, with condemnation of that particular performance, he also then referred to the Japanese Prime Minister, who gave him a melon as a present, as having two nice melons herself, and made an inappropriate hand gesture in the course of it. I'm sorry, Anthony Albanese, we're not in the 1970s anymore. And I don't think just apologizing as he's done is going to entirely clear the decks for him.
Goodness me. There's certain things that if you're a leader of a nation, you just, there's certain conversations you shouldn't be a part of.
I mean,
all he had to do was to say, "I'm the Prime Minister." No. Everybody else may answer, I won't. Adam Gilchrist with this morning's Worldview.
EWN Business.
Mateo Kharipe wrapping up business news for the morning. This is an important one. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority essentially telling us who's not paying their employees' retirement contributions, Mateo.
Yeah, imagine contributing to your retirement only to find out that the company that you've been giving your money to has not been doing that. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority has named over 6,000 employers who are in arrears with retirement fund contributions. The unpaid pension contributions climbed to an estimated 8.3 billion rand, affecting more than 500,000 retirement fund members. According to MoneyWeb, the number of employers listed has more than tripled in less than 3 years. This is the fifth list of defaulting employers the regulator has released since 2022 as part of its campaign to improve transparency. Now, the employers were reported to the regulator for contravening Section 13A of the Pension Funds Act, which governs the payment of retirement fund contributions. Municipalities remain a major area of concern. Entities participating in local government retirement funds now account for 21.5% of total defaults, while bargaining council funds represent nearly 77% of total arrears. The FSCA says it will collaborate with the Auditor General, National Treasury and law enforcement to ensure accountability.
Samsung down.
Yeah, Samsung Electronics shares fell this morning as concerns about spending and demand overshadowed the company's record earnings. Shares of the company traded lower by 9.6%, even after reporting a second quarter operating profit of $58.4 billion. Investors wiped out more than $100 billion off its market value on concerns over the sustainability of the AI-driven chip boom.
Your indicators?
Rand at this hour, 16.25 against the US dollar. It's flat this morning, 18 Rand 57 against the euro, and the 21 Rand 74 cents against the British pound. Price of gold is down 1% at $4,122, while platinum is at $1,612 an ounce. Brent crude is at $72 a barrel. That's your morning business. Stephen Krotis with more this afternoon.
2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Thought intrusion. Just thinking about Adam Gilchrist and the Anthony Albanese story. How have we moved from the former Prime Minister, Julia Gillard? Remember that misogyny speech? Go Google it and watch it on YouTube. And that's really, Sfisa Zulu, the story of Gauteng now promising water for frustrated residents.
That's right, Bongani. Good morning. The government is promising taps will stay on for residents in the Lesedi local municipality following a deadly service delivery protest. 2 people died last week during clashes with police when residents were protesting over water outages in Ratanda, southeast of Johannesburg. Provincial government and municipal representatives and Rand Water have now agreed to address the municipality's financial crisis and its water debt. Kosikona Malingamnisi reports.
The Gauteng government says as part of the agreement, Rand Water's previously implemented 20% reduction in water supply will remain suspended while the recovery process gets underway. A multidisciplinary technical team has been given 7 days to produce a comprehensive financial and operational recovery plan. The report will assess the municipality's financial position, revenue collection systems, water losses, infrastructure metering, and sustainable options to repay historical debt while maintaining reliable water services. During the meeting, Liseri municipality attributed its financial difficulties to declining revenue following reduced industrial activity, poor revenue collection, rising numbers of indigent households, and increasing operational costs. Stakeholders also condemned recent violence and damage to property linked to the water disruptions, urging residents to raise their concerns peacefully while government works towards a lasting solution. Kosikona Malingamnisi, Eyewitness News.
An investigation is underway into a deadly crash involving 9 cars in Mpumalanga. 4 people died when a truck driver lost control of his vehicle and plowed into other cars on the R555 yesterday. The Mpumalanga Transport Department says the truck caught fire on impact, leaving the road littered with wreckage. The department's Mweti Musi says 5 people were seriously injured while 3 others sustained minor injuries.
The injured are currently receiving treatment at the nearby hospitals in Emalahleni and Middleburg. The crash involves 9 vehicles, including an articulated truck, 4 light delivery vehicles, LDVs, and 1 SUV and other motor vehicles.
After years of resource constraints, Home Affairs says immigration enforcement is getting a much-needed boost. The department says the recruitment of 301 additional immigration officers will increase its enforcement capacity from 868 to more than 1,000 officers across the country. Home Affairs Minister Leon Schreiber says this is part of government's efforts to strengthen immigration enforcement, improve border security, and uphold the rule of law.
For too long, just 868 frontline immigration officers have been responsible for enforcing our immigration laws across the entire country. By appointing 301 additional officers, we are now making one of the biggest investments in immigration enforcement capacity in years, strengthening our ability to uphold the rule of law and protect the integrity of South Africa's immigration system.
And France's far-right chief Marine Le Pen is bracing for a key verdict today that will determine if she can run in next year's presidential elections. Last year, Le Pen was sentenced to a 5-year ban from public office and 2 years in prison over a fake job scam at the European Parliament. If the appeals court upholds that ruling, it will be a devastating blow for her hopes to replace outgoing President Emmanuel Macron. A fine day in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 21.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North. This is just as you come out of the Baklu interchange. There's also queuing traffic reported on the N3 North between the Elands interchange and Van Buren Road due to roadworks.
The top story this hour, the Gauteng government has promised taps will stay on for residents in the Lesedi local municipality following a deadly service delivery protest.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
With 1 year on from Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's press conference.
Been something of a watershed moment for the criminal justice system. For the uninitiated, it would come as a shock to see exactly the extent to which the police specifically have been infiltrated by criminal elements. I think what the Madlaga Commission has done is place that horror show on our television screens.
I'm a police officer who understood the task at hand when I joined the service. It was my resolve to make sure that I deal with criminals head on.
Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Are you ready to take the next step in your professional development, but not sure where to start? Well, why don't you join Wits Business School's virtual open day Thursday, the 16th of July at 5:30 p.m. and you can discover the program that's right for you. So whether you're considering a postgraduate diploma, a master's, or an executive education course, Wits Business School doesn't just educate, they transform lives and careers. Get all the information and inspiration you need to take your next step. all from the comfort of your home. RSVP now at wbs.ac.za. Wits Business School, sculpting global leaders.
Peregrine Capital presents Brian Habana's Count to 100.
In my journey to 100, it started with my first cap, then my second, 10th, 50th, 90th, 99th.
Brian Habana, his 100th international test.
You get to 100 one decision at a time. For 28 years, Peregrine Capital has applied that same discipline to turn 1 million rand into 100 million. Peregrine Capital. Invest in performance. An authorized FSP. Past performance non-indicative of future performance. T's and C's apply.
Score big with the Checkers XXL Savings Championship with over 150 million rand in weekly extra savings. Get Future Life Bran Flake cereal 900 grams for $79.99. Pampers Jumbo Pack or Premium Care Value Pack disposable nappies or pants for $239.99. And Pantene shampoo and conditioner, any two for $139.99. Valid until 12 July, only at Checkers.
702.
WhatsApp Bongani on 072
702 1702.
Good morning, Bongani and the team. Speaking of televisions next door, when you were fortunate, maybe your television was electric, what is it, operated. Ours next door was battery operated. And now we had to pay 5 cents to go and watch. And the neighbor used to say, if it's 5 cents, then we're going to charge our batteries. Then we'll have TV every day. So we paid 5 cents, eh? That was long time ago. Thank you.
It was the electric blanket for me, and it was at home. So my mother came back with her first electric blanket, and she wanted me to plug this thing on. And I looked at this thing, I was like, so what is this? I mean, when there's no electricity, does it mean Ayomba take? It's Kenya to Johannesburg.
Good morning, Bongs. Yeah, so I once put a metal pot in a microwave. Oh, did it not start sparking there? First time I ever used a microwave. Atkins and Joburg.
Yo. And that's the thing when you don't know, right? I mean, I was talking about asking a friend about whether I could use dishwashing liquid in the dishwasher. At the very least, I suppose, if you don't know how to do these things, and if you're clearly not going to read the manual, ask a friend. Call around and ask a friend. A metal pot in the microwave.
Morning, Bongani. I think as a society, we are really... I don't understand. I mean, that was a game of marry, kill or smash. I mean, everybody plays that game with regards to the Australian Prime Minister and Kylie Minogue. It was clear it was a game. I mean, he didn't mean it. So what now? He must resign over that statement. I mean, come on, I feel like as a society, we're slowly becoming so... Hence, I hated this whole movement of cancel culture that started, I mean, like 5, 6, 7 years ago. Why can't we... He is a prime minister, yes, but he is also human, like everybody else. This is a game I believe we've all played when we are with friends. So I think we're reading too much into it. It's a game. It's a game. Prince.
Prince is the prime minister. I don't know if that holds. He's the prime minister, and that's why I really do urge you to go and watch Julia Gillard's misogyny speech. And how do you then move from that level of discourse to a prime minister speaking in this inappropriate way? And it wasn't just about Kylie Minogue, as you heard Adam Gilchrist say. He also spoke about the Japanese prime minister in a way that just isn't appropriate. There are certain things. There are jokes you can make with your friends. And this is a really good example, I think. There are jokes you can make with your friends that you ought not to make with your children, especially if they're not adults. It doesn't mean those jokes are not funny when you're with your friends, perhaps. But your role in society and your, what's that word they use, positionality in certain spaces means there are things you've got to be able to say no to, and he should have.
EWN Sport.
The one thing that's good about the World Cup, Cindy Paluta, is that the game I want to see is at 6 p.m. tonight. It's at a godly hour, right?
We finally don't have to worry if we're going to doze off.
Yay!
After half time, right? And how we're going to function the next day. Because I must be honest, today I'm a little bit
Yeah.
Going home to nap
You and-
after this.
you and me both.
But the World Cup tonight does continue. Africa's hopes resting with Egypt as they take on the defending champions Argentina at 6 o'clock, followed by Switzerland against Colombia at 10. Last night, Spain and Belgium advanced. Belgium thrashed the USA 4-1. Spain beat Portugal 1-0 thanks to Michael Marino's stoppage time goal. Portugal coach Roberto Martinez has stepped down but leaves with great pride.
Today, I think you said a word about disappointing. I'm not disappointed. No, I'm sad because we lost. We wanted to get to the final. I really felt that we could get 8 games in this tournament, but I'm extremely proud. We played one of the favorite teams eye to eye. At times, we made them very uncomfortable.
The game was Cristiano Ronaldo's last World Cup match. Spain's Rodri says Ronaldo's a legend.
Talking about Cristiano Ronaldo is talking about one of the best players in the history of football. His mentality, the way he understands the game, always trying to score, always trying to be the best of himself. I think with 41 years old, is remarkable. I think his country has to be so proud of him to play 6 World Cups. It's incredible and an example for all the generations that come before him.
England captain Harry Kane went viral yesterday after he's lost his voice celebrating the win over Mexico. The good news says it's all back to normal.
How are we doing, everyone? First of all, as you can hear, my voice is back. I mean, what an all-timer of an interview last night. That was glad to see everyone having a good laugh about it all over social media. It was kind of a perfect interview to end a perfect night.
Well, apparently his voice, he lost his voice because the post-match singing was so intense. Yeah. But guess who then trolled him? I mean, in a joking kind of way. Liam Gallagher. Saying, and you put this on X, I've got to find it now. He says, "Oh, it's hard work that singing, Harry Kane. Come on, England. Come on, Wonderwall." And so now fans have challenged Liam Gallagher to show up should England make it to the World Cup final. And he says, "I'm ready. I'll show Harry how it's done."
Yeah, so to give context, Liam Gallagher is a singer from Oasis from the 90s, and England have been singing Wonderwall with the fans at the end of the game. But I'm sure the way that the England players have been singing it, in comparison to the way Liam Gallagher would have sang it with a microphone, is very... I'm sure Harry Kane's been singing it at the fans as opposed with the fans.
And do you think his brother will show up? Oh.
And you know what else was quite interesting yesterday was Henderson from England broke his wrist and he's out of the World Cup because he was celebrating with the fans, and then as he climbed back onto the field, he fell over the board, broke his wrist. But he is the first player to ever have gotten a yellow card in that match and broken his wrist without playing. Isn't that something?
We were talking, I mean, just about that very incident and the idea that after 50, falling is not a good idea.
No, I have a theory on falling, and I will tell you about it afterwards. But Springbok coach...
everybody wants to know.
No, it's rude. Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus has kept only 5 players from the win over England. The Boks battle Scotland this weekend at Loftus, which Erasmus says is prep for next year's World Cup.
Our average for our caps, which is not a lot, there's 11, 12 guys that got less than 10 caps in it. I think we will definitely go into this match with a much less experienced team compared to Scotland. So this will be a nice test for a lot of these guys to see when we get to the important part in the next year or two. And we think most of them, we won't have them here if we don't think they can do the job for us.
It was confirmed that Eben Etzebeth and Oxenchair will miss the rest of this month's action due to injury. And at Wimbledon today, Zverev needs to finish his match with Lehecka. The winner will then meet Fritz in the quarterfinals tomorrow. Today's quarterfinals, Struff and Sinner, they're up first, followed by Djokovic and Augiela Sim. On the women's side, Pagula plays Goff, followed by Osaka against Makova. Cindy Paluta, Eyewitness News Sport.
Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
Morning, Bongani. Simon from Randburg, eh? So we had a maid who once came and worked for us, and she didn't know what cornflakes were, and she took the cornflakes, put them in a pan and fried them and put some cooking oil. Yeah, we had a blast of a lifetime.
EWN Traffic.
I'll raise you one. I remember an American friend many, many years ago seeing pap for the first time, and he was in Kenya and he saw, sort of the Kenyan version of pap. And they'd left it out for him, and the family that was hosting him wasn't home, and jet lag, whatever, he woke up and had this meal prepared for him, and he didn't quite know what this lump of food was. And he said, I didn't know whether to fry it. He tried to put it in the oven. He tried all sorts of things, and he'd never seen pap ever, and this was, of course, before the days you could just get a phone and Google things. But there are foods you come across for the first time that are completely strange to you. That's a discussion for another day. 13 to 9. Amma, what's happening in traffic?
Well, we've got delays on the M1 South heading towards Sandton. This is between the Buccleuch turnoff and Grayston Drive. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North between the Elands Interchange and Van Buren Road. Roadworks have been taking place along this route, and now we've got an accident right near the Geldenhuys Interchange. And there's also queuing traffic in Boksburg along the N17 West approaching Osborne Road. That's due to roadworks there. We'll have more at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Ready to go?
No, can't.
Your mother raised you. She can look after him for one day.
But he's just a baby.
He's 7.
Just a baby.
I've packed his favorite toy and blanket.
Okay, just grab his Hills food.
Always.
We know that you only want the best for your small dog, which is why Hills has developed expert, science-backed nutrition to meet the unique needs of small dogs and help them live their best lives across their longer lifespans. Hills Pet Nutrition. Science does more.
Smart business decisions save money. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's JC from Blonde Hair Studio.
I was with my previous insurer for many years before switching over to Outsurance Business Insurance. I'm really happy with the premium I'm paying now, and switching was definitely one of the best decisions for my business.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Hi South Africa, I'm Michael Owen. If you appreciate world-class sport and a great occasion, the Hollywood Bets Durban July is the place to be. The theme for 2026 is Country Allure, which sees the rustic style of the countryside meet the cosmopolitan cool of the city. On Saturday the 4th of July, it all comes together at Hollywood Bets Greyville, Africa's greatest horse racing and social event. I'll see you there.
Coming up
on the Clement Manyatela Show
on 702.
Of course, Clement grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth. His was the house where everybody discovered things.
Next.
All right. So what was that thing you saw visiting someone?
I think, there are a lot, but I'll take you from when I was young. We used to go visit my cousins, and one time I got to their house and they had like this old computer, but at the time it was the computer of the time. You know, the white one.
Yeah.
You know,
with the big bum.
And that was, for me, was the biggest shock. And we used to play a game on that computer, like some motor game. So as a result, I used to go to that family home, my aunt's house, every single holiday.
You've just reminded me of a World Cup game I had, and it was based on the 94 football World Cup, and we used to play it on the computer, and the teams were ranked according to who was obviously the strong football nations at that time. Many, many, many years ago. All right, what's on the show?
You know what I also discovered? This is not necessarily like a product in a sense, but when I used to go to my grandmother's house, because we had so many cousins. In fact, when I lived with my grandmother, many of our cousins would come visit. And there's a specific family that used to come, and the children used to eat, I don't remember what they used to call it, but it was like purity. Yeah, remember purity?
Yeah.
They used to eat purity, and I used to be so taken aback by, wow, because we were eating porridge, but their parents would send them to my grandmother's house because that's what they eat for breakfast or whatever.
With the purity.
I loved purity, and I used to beg them to at least have me taste it.
Can I tell you something?
You know what I bought when I started working?
You had the better breakfast.
I'm sure I did. But you know when I started working, I used to buy that purity because I remembered the taste from when I was young. Okay, so I used to be obsessed about it.
I'll get you purity for your birthday.
Please do. A pack of purity, please.
Baby Clement.
On the open line today, we're going to have a conversation about what was revealed at the Madlanga Commission yesterday about Firoz Khan. We'll also touch on what happened. See, when you haven't eaten enough purity as a child, your English bundles are out. So we're going to talk about what happened with Donald Trump and the FIFA president, that conversation that they had that led to the reversal. You don't make this stuff up, eh? So that's on the open line. At 10 o'clock, we're going to speak to Jeremy Michaels, who is the spokesperson for the Madlanga Commission, just to get a sense of how far are they with getting other witnesses to come, and will they be requesting an extension from the president since he's willing to consider that extension. At 10:30, I'm going to have a conversation with Advocate Tulimba Donsela. She's had some interesting things to say about the Constitution and the consequences of the Constitution not explicitly naming apartheid, despite being drafted immediately after the system was dismantled. At 11 o'clock, we do our World of Work feature. Today, we're discussing how to regularize domestic workers.
All right, Kim and Manyatela between 9 and 12.
What is special about this year's 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk is that we actually get to experience the city in a completely different way. So often the city is seen in a negative light, and I feel like the Walk the Talk is going to be breathing new life into the city with people falling in love with it again. You must definitely take part in this year's Walk the Talk because, of course, we often engage across from one another via the phone, via the WhatsApp line, but this time we actually get to see each other in person, and it is always such a beautiful experience. This year, I am eyeing the 5 kilometer because I saw that route and I said, this should be interesting, but I'll see. I might challenge myself. Let's see. To enter the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com or download the app. I'm so excited. Can't wait to see you there.
The 139 million rand Powerball extra cascading jackpot has been won. 3 people each walked away with over 45 million rand. Tickets bought on the Standard Bank and FNB apps and in-store at Checkers Hyper in Alberton. KG, I haven't got my SMS yet, hey? Congrats to the winners. Now, don't forget to play the Powerball today because the total estimated Powerball jackpot of 13 million rand could be yours. The National Lottery. More players, more chances, more millions. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The National Lottery is officially operated by Sizek Hire.
Take control of your equipment, your billing, and your revenue with PumaTech. Built for all sized businesses in rental, construction, scaffolding, plant hire, and mining. PumaTech gives you real-time, on-site visibility of everything. Your equipment, your materials, across sites, yards, and branches. Simplify stock control, reduce losses, and manage your billing. All in one powerful, locally built platform. PumaTech. Know where everything is.
Just Andalex it. Do you have a sore throat? Andalex C Oral Rinse and Spray provides targeted relief from 1 minute that lasts up to 4 hours. It reduces pain and inflammation while numbing the affected areas. It also kills viruses and bacteria that cause sore throats to help prevent serious throat infections. Andalex, South Africa's #1 choice for sore mouth and throats. For more information, speak to your healthcare professional. Just Andalex it.
Andalex, a proud sponsor of The Masked Singer Season 3.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Here's a fascinating idea. We know, of course, our legal system is really based on Roman Dutch law mixed with English law because of colonial rule by the Dutch and the British. But what of African traditions around jurisprudence? Here's a play that takes you back to pre-colonial African societies and considers questions about systems of law and order and what community justice meant before the colonial era. It's called Africa versus the State, Reclaiming African Law in a Colonial Courtroom. Siaya Koos is one of the actors and performers in the role of Advocate Gwanyu and joins us now. Siaya, very good morning to you and thank you for your time.
Very much for having me. Thank you very much for having me.
Did I explain the concept of this play correctly? It sounds really fascinating.
You did it even better than us. You explained it even better than us.
I mean, just what does the play seek to explore in terms of what African judicial systems might have looked like but for the advent of colonialism?
All right. Firstly, you must understand that the play of Africa versus the State is written by Bongani Bingwa, a production from a production company called Africa Creation. So this production on Bongani Bingwa's approach in terms of writing African stories, we write African stories based on the African narrative. So when we look at now the subject matter that is at hand, which is the law, the colonial law or the Dutch law, we looked at it based on the African concepts in terms of what did these law come into Africa and interrupt. So this is our point of view in terms of writing the story of Africa versus the state.
I remember reading a Zakes Mda book not too long ago, and in it one of the characters was absolutely fascinated by the colonial idea of a house, a structure built to house wrongdoers, which was a completely foreign concept in terms of African legal systems and thinking. And I remember that struck me because I hadn't considered what might have been done to people who broke the law. What do you bring in terms of whatever knowledge there might still be available of pre-colonial legal systems and how they impacted communities?
So in ancient Africa, African systems were governed by a law that was revealed to spiritual guiders. So you must understand everything in Africa was gravitated around spiritual guiders. So we understood that we are not empowered without the Creator. So we need spiritual guides to be able to connect with the Creator so that whatever law we impose on people must come from the Creator. So the laws that came from the Creator were revealed by were spiritual laws that were revealed on mountains. So these laws were given to kings, and then the kings were given to counselors. And then people who used to break those laws were checked and then banished, and people will be banished maybe in a village if ever he does not abide by those laws. So the most important thing that we bring into the story is trying and tell the people that our African laws were revealed laws, not just laws who were men concept, who came from men's mindset. So our laws were laws that came from spiritual guiders. So that is what the story highlights mostly to the audience and teaches them that how Africans used to approach life, it approached life with a spiritual insight.
All right, Africa versus the state. What is the premise of the play? What is actually being tested in the courtroom?
So in the courtroom, it's about Okababantu Lwandle. It's a king who's being arrested for practicing his indigenous ways, and then because of the state does not understand that, and then what happens is he gets arrested, and then from getting arrested, Advocate Mpofu is the one that stands in for him in defense, and then explains that we can't judge this African king based on colonial concepts and colonial systems, because of the colonial concepts and colonial systems do not understand us as Africans in terms of how do we approach life and how do we live. So it's about Advocate Mpofu and Advocate Johann Smith battling out in context of saying that the colonial constitution or the colonial law is the right way to live life, and these Africans practicing their ways, they are wrong for practicing their ways. So it's all about a mixed emotions of a play that shows us as Africans and colonial systems that we are not compatible or complementary to each other.
All right, Africa versus the state. It's on at the Joburg Theatre starting from the 11th of July. That is this Saturday. You can get your tickets at the Joburg Theatre box office. Siaya Koos, actor and performer in Africa versus the state.
702.
More than a radio station.
Let's walk the talk.
It's a minute after 9. The Clement Manyatela Show starts now.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I am Sfiso Zulu. Lawyers for alleged crime underworld boss Vusumuzi Cat Matlala are expected to appear before the Matlala Commission today. Matlala was set to testify as well, but an agreement has been reached to postpone his hearing to a later date. Matlala is currently in prison for 2 separate cases, facing several charges including attempted murder, fraud and corruption. Tabiso Goba reports.
The name of tender tycoon and alleged crime boss Vusumuzi Cat Matlala has been mentioned countless times